Welcome to Lotus Whisper, Zen Tales for Sleep. I am your guide for tonight's journey into stillness. Tonight, we explore a feeling that visits us all, the sense of being lost. In a world that prizes certainty and clear destinations, this feeling can arrive like an unwelcome guest, bringing with it a quiet anxiety. We are taught to see it as a problem to be solved, a sign that we have taken a wrong turn. But in the quiet wisdom of Zen, being lost is not a failure. It is an invitation. It is the beginning of a sacred journey, not away from ourselves, but deeper within. It is the moment the well-trodden path disappears, and we are given the chance to find our own way, guided not by a map, but by the gentle light of awareness. Let us walk this uncharted path together and discover the peace that waits for us in the heart of the unknown. Please subscribe to the channel to hear more stories like this. The empty map. Let us begin our journey. Imagine, if you will, a traveler. This traveler is you. You stand at a crossroads, not of dirt and stone, but of life itself. Before you, the path splinters into countless possibilities, each disappearing into a soft, impenetrable mist. In your hands, you hold a map. You have carried it for a long time, believing it held the answers, the one true way forward. But now, as you unroll the delicate parchment, your heart sinks. The map is blank. There are no lines, no names, no symbols to guide you. There is only the vast, empty space, a perfect reflection of the uncertainty you feel inside. This is the feeling of being lost. It is a quiet and profound anxiety, a sense that the world is moving forward with purpose, while you are left standing still, holding an empty map. You look at others, and it seems they all have detailed charts, their routes marked in bold, confident ink. They speak of destinations and 5-year plans, of goals and achievements, and their certainty can feel like a gentle accusation. The mind begins to whisper its familiar, anxious questions. Did I miss a turn? Did I fail to listen to the right advice? Am I doing this wrong? The weight of the empty map grows heavier. It ceases to be a tool and becomes a burden, a symbol of your own perceived inadequacy. You might try to fill it in yourself, sketching lines based on where you think you should go, based on the maps of others. But the ink never quite takes. The lines feel forced, inauthentic. The heart knows they are not your own. This feeling, this deep and unsettling sense of being adrift, is a universal human experience. It is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of being alive, of standing at the edge of a great and sacred mystery. And in the quiet halls of Zen wisdom, this very state of not knowing is considered a gateway. It is the beginning of the true journey. Let us travel now to a monastery nestled deep in the mountains of ancient Japan, where the air is crisp with the scent of pine and the silence is broken only by the distant call of a mountain bird. Here lived a young monk named Kaito. Kaito was diligent, earnest, and deeply devoted. He had read all the sutras, memorized the great teachings, and could debate the finer points of philosophy with a skill that impressed even the senior monks. He saw enlightenment as a peak to be scaled, a destination to be reached through rigorous effort and the accumulation of knowledge. He was, in his own mind, an expert map-maker of the spirit. He believed that if he just studied hard enough, meditated long enough, and followed the instructions of the masters precisely enough, he would eventually draw the perfect map to the summit of awakening. His master, an old abbot named Ryotan, was a man whose silence held more wisdom than any book. His eyes held the gentle, knowing calm of a deep forest lake. He watched Kaito's relentless striving with a quiet, compassionate gaze. He saw the young monk's sincerity, but he also saw the tension in his shoulders, the subtle furrow of anxiety in his brow. Kaito was so focused on the destination that he was missing the path entirely. One morning, as the dawn mist still clung to the valleys, Ryotan summoned Kaito to his chambers. The old master sat with a simple cup of tea, the steam rising like a prayer into the cool air. He told Kaito of a rare medicinal herb, a small, unassuming flower called the moon petal, which grew only on the secluded northern face of Mount Inari. The monastery's supply was dwindling, and the journey was long and difficult. Ryotan asked Kaito to undertake this important task. Kaito's heart swelled with pride. This was not a simple chore. It was a quest, a test. It was a chance to prove his discipline and his worth. He bowed deeply, his mind already racing, planning the route, calculating the time, imagining his triumphant return. Ryotan nodded slowly. From the sleeve of his robe, he produced a small, rolled-up scroll tied with a simple silk cord. "This is a map," the master said, his voice as soft as moss. "It will guide you. Do not lose it." Kaito accepted the scroll with reverence. He felt its smooth, cool weight in his palm. A map from the master himself. It must hold some secret, some profound key to the journey. He tucked it safely into his robe, bowed once more, and set off immediately, his steps filled with a determined energy. He did not even think to unroll the map. He was Kaito, the knowledgeable one. He knew the general direction of Mount Inari. The first part of the path was well worn, and his confidence was his compass. For the first day, the journey was just as he expected. The path was clear, winding through ancient cedar groves and across bubbling mountain streams. He felt a sense of control, of purpose. He was making progress, moving toward his goal. His mind was busy, reciting sutras, reviewing teachings, reinforcing his own identity as a capable and dedicated monk. He paid little attention to the world around him. The forest was merely a backdrop, a series of obstacles to be passed on his way to the true objective. But on the second day, the landscape began to change. The clear path dwindled, becoming a faint track, and then it vanished altogether into a dense thicket of bamboo. A heavy fog rolled in, swallowing the mountains and muffling all sound. Kaito hesitated. He consulted his memory, his internal map of the region. But the fog had disoriented him completely. He pushed forward, trusting his intellect, his sense of direction. He told himself that a small deviation was nothing to be concerned about. He would simply correct his course. Hours passed. The forest grew wilder, the trees older and more gnarled. The ground became uneven, covered in a thick carpet of moss that concealed treacherous roots and stones. Every direction looked the same. The sun, a pale, hazy disk behind the fog, offered no guidance. The quiet confidence Kaito had felt just a day before began to curdle into a cold knot of anxiety in his stomach. He was lost. The word itself felt like a judgment. Lost. It meant he had failed. He, who had studied all the maps of the mind, could not even navigate a simple forest. Panic began to prickle at the edges of his awareness. He pushed harder, fighting his way through tangled undergrowth, his robes catching on thorns, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He was no longer walking. He was fleeing. Fleeing the terrifying realization that he had no idea where he was or where he was going. His mind, once his greatest asset, was now his tormentor. It replayed his mistake, berated his arrogance, and painted vivid pictures of his failure. He would never find the moon petal. He would disgrace his master. He might never find his way back to the monastery at all. Finally, utterly spent, his body aching and his spirit bruised, Kaito stumbled into a small clearing and collapsed at the foot of a colossal, ancient camphor tree. Its vast branches reached out like the arms of a gentle giant, creating a sanctuary of stillness. He had no energy left to fight, no will left to push forward. He simply lay there, his cheek pressed against the cool, damp earth, and for the first time in his life, he surrendered. He gave up. He let go of the goal, of the quest, of his identity as the capable monk. He let go of everything. He was just a tired, breathing body under a very large tree in the middle of a forest. He was lost. And in that moment of complete surrender, something shifted. The frantic noise in his mind, which had been screaming at him for hours, finally fell silent. And into that silence, the world began to rush in. He heard, as if for the first time, the sound of the wind whispering through the high leaves of the camphor tree. It was not just a sound, it was a voice, a song, ancient and soothing. He felt the gentle rhythm of his own breath, rising and falling, a quiet tide within him. He smelled the rich, loamy scent of the earth, fragrance of decay and life intertwined. He opened his eyes and saw a single drop of dew trembling on the tip of a fern, holding the entire, vast grey sky in its tiny sphere. The forest was no longer an adversary. It was not a maze he was trapped in. It was simply here. It was alive, breathing, and beautiful. And he was a part of it. He was not separate from the tree, the moss, the wind. His own breath was the breath of the forest. His stillness was the stillness of the ancient stone beside him. For a long, timeless moment, he did not think. He simply was. Present, aware. His hand, resting on his chest, brushed against the small scroll in his robe. The map. He had forgotten all about it. With a slow, new-found gentleness, he pulled it out. His fingers, no longer trembling with anxiety, carefully untied the silk cord. He unrolled the parchment. It was blank. A soft, quiet laugh escaped his lips. It was not a laugh of bitterness or despair, but of pure, unburdened relief. The map was empty. It had been empty all along. His master had not given him a guide to a destination. He had given him a mirror to reflect the state of his own mind. When his mind was full of plans, goals, and arrogant certainty, the map was useless. But now, as he sat in the stillness of not knowing, the empty map was the most profound teaching he had ever received. The map was an invitation to let go of the need for a pre-drawn path and to find the way by being present where he was. The path was not a line on a piece of paper. The path was the feel of the earth beneath his feet right now. The path was the sound of the wind right now. The path was the simple act of breathing in and out right now. He sat there for a long time, holding the empty map, feeling a peace he had never known. The anxiety had dissolved, replaced by a quiet curiosity. He was still in the middle of a forest, with no clear direction. But he was no longer lost. He was home. He was exactly where he needed to be. As the afternoon light began to soften, he stood up. He looked around the clearing, not with the desperate eyes of a searcher, but with the calm gaze of an observer. And there, growing in the dappled shade at the base of the great camphor tree, was a small, delicate flower with petals that seemed to glow with a soft, lunar light. The moon petal. It had been here all along, waiting patiently for him to stop searching and start seeing. Kaito carefully picked the single flower he needed. He did not rush. He gave thanks to the plant, to the tree, to the forest. He rolled up the empty map and tucked it back into his robe, but it no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a treasure. The journey back was different. He did not follow a path, for there was none. He simply walked. He moved with the forest, not against it. He listened to the slope of the land, the direction of the water, the subtle language of the trees. He walked with a quiet, joyful presence. And, without any struggle, without any anxiety, he found his way back to the monastery, just as the evening bell was ringing, its deep, resonant tone calling the monks to meditation. He went to Ryotan's chamber and presented the moon petal. The old master took it with a gentle smile. He did not ask about the journey. He did not need to. He could see the change in his student. The frantic striving was gone, replaced by a deep, settled calm. Kaito's eyes, once sharp with intellectual ambition, now held the quiet depth of the forest lake. "Master," Kaito said, his voice soft with humility. "The map." It was empty. Ryotan's smile widened. He poured a cup of tea and handed it to the young monk. "A full cup cannot be filled," he said simply, "and a full map has no room for the path you are on. The journey is not about arriving at a destination. It is about learning to walk in the open space of the unknown. Being lost is simply the first step to finding where you truly are. As you lie here now, preparing for sleep, perhaps you can feel the weight of your own empty map, the uncertainty about tomorrow, the questions without answers, the future that stretches out like a vast, uncharted territory. It is okay. Let yourself feel the truth of Kaito's story. The anxiety you feel is the frantic energy of pushing through the forest, believing you have failed. The peace you seek is waiting for you, right here, in the moment of surrender. It is found in the simple act of letting go. Let go of the need to have it all figured out. Let go of the belief that you should be somewhere else, on some other path. Let go of the comparison to others and their seemingly perfect maps. Your map is empty, and that is a sacred and beautiful thing. It means you are free, free to discover the path as you walk it, free to be guided not by an old line drawn by someone else, but by the living wisdom of your own heart, your own breath, your own being. Feel the support of the ground beneath you, like the solid earth that held Kaito. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath, like the wind whispering through the camphor leaves. You are not lost from the path. This feeling right now is the path. The emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a space to be filled with presence. There is no need to struggle. There is no need to rush. You are exactly where you need to be. The moon petal you seek, the peace you long for, is growing right here, in the quiet clearing of this present moment. All you have to do is stop searching and start seeing. Allow the stillness of the forest to enter your heart. Allow the wisdom of the empty map to soothe your mind. It is okay to be lost. It is the only way to truly be found. The unknowing cloud. In the quiet space that follows surrender, a new feeling often arises. After the anxiety of holding the empty map has subsided, the mind, in its habitual way, begins to search for a new strategy. If a pre-drawn path does not exist, then surely the answer is to create one. The mind tells us that the problem is not a lack of direction, but a lack of knowledge. If we could just learn enough, understand enough, gather enough information, we could fill in the blank spaces ourselves. We could become the master cartographer of our own lives. This is the mind's most subtle and persistent trick. It equates knowing with safety. It builds an identity around what it has learned, the opinions it holds, and the experiences it has catalogued. Our mind becomes like a treasured library, each book a past success or failure, each shelf a carefully constructed belief about the world. We feel a sense of security in this library. We can pull a book from the shelf to explain any situation, to justify any feeling. When we feel lost, our first instinct is to retreat into this library and search for a reference, a precedent, a theory that can make sense of the uncertainty. But this library, for all its seeming comfort, can become a beautiful prison. The walls are so high, the books so numerous, that no new light can get in. We become so busy reading about the world that we forget to look at it. We become so convinced by the words on the page that we no longer trust our own direct experience. Our mind becomes like a cup, filled to the very brim with the tea of old ideas, theories, and judgments. And when life, the great tea master, comes to pour us something new, something fresh and vital, it simply spills over the side, unable to enter. We are too full to receive. This brings us to a simple yet profoundly deep story, one that has been told and retold in quiet temples for centuries. It is the story of a scholar and a Zen master, a story about the nature of knowing and the wisdom of unknowing. In a bustling city lived a university professor, a man of great intellect and renown. He had dedicated his entire life to the study of philosophy and religion. His personal library was legendary, containing scrolls and texts from every tradition. He could quote ancient masters, deconstruct complex doctrines, and lecture for hours on the subtle distinctions between various schools of thought. He was, by all accounts, an expert. His cup was overflowing with knowledge. Yet, in the quiet moments late at night, when the books were put away and the accolades of his students had faded, a persistent emptiness gnawed at him. For all his understanding about enlightenment, he did not feel enlightened. For all his knowledge about peace, his mind was rarely peaceful. His intellectual achievements felt like polished stones he held in his hand, beautiful and intricate, but ultimately cold and lifeless. He had heard tales of an old Zen master named Nan-in, who lived a simple life in a small hermitage on a nearby mountain. It was said that this master possessed not just knowledge, but true wisdom. The professor, driven by a mixture of academic curiosity and a deep, unacknowledged spiritual thirst, decided he would visit this master and question him about the nature of Zen. He made the journey up the mountain, his mind busy rehearsing the sophisticated questions he would ask. He planned to engage the master in a high-level debate to test the depths of his understanding. As he approached the hermitage, he was struck by its simplicity. It was a small wooden hut with a paper screen door, surrounded by a modest garden where a few vegetables grew. There was no grand gate, no library, no sign of the profound learning he expected. An old man with a shaved head and a gentle, weathered face was sweeping fallen leaves with a bamboo broom. His movements were slow, deliberate, and full of a quiet grace. This was Nan-in. He greeted the professor with a simple nod and invited him inside. The room was bare except for a few cushions on the tatami mat and a small iron kettle singing softly over a charcoal brazier. The air was filled with a profound stillness. The professor, accustomed to filling silence with words, immediately began to speak. He introduced himself, listed his credentials, and spoke of his extensive research into the teachings of the Buddha. He talked about the concept of emptiness, the doctrine of no self, and the paradoxes of the great koans. He was not so much asking a question as he was delivering a lecture, demonstrating the impressive fullness of his own cup. Nan-in listened patiently. He did not interrupt. His gaze was calm and receptive, like a deep, clear pool of water. When the professor finally paused for breath, Nan-in simply smiled and said, "It is a long journey up the mountain. You must be thirsty. Let us have some tea." The master's movements were a meditation in themselves. He rinsed the small porcelain cups with hot water, his hands moving with an unhurried elegance. He spooned fragrant green tea leaves into a small pot and poured the steaming water from the kettle, allowing the leaves to unfurl and release their essence. The professor watched, a little impatiently. He was here for a discussion of profound truths, not for a tea ceremony. Nan-in placed a cup before the professor and began to pour. The pale green liquid filled the small vessel, its delicate aroma rising in the still air. The professor reached for it, but Nan-in did not stop pouring. The tea reached the brim of the cup, and then it continued. It spilled over the edge, cascading down the side of the cup and onto the small wooden tray, forming a dark, spreading pool. The professor cried out in alarm. "Stop! It's full! No more will go in!" Nan-in calmly set down the teapot. He looked at the professor, his eyes holding no judgment, only a gentle, compassionate clarity. "Like this cup," he said, his voice as soft as the steam rising from the spilled tea. You are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? The professor was stunned into silence. In that single, simple moment, the overflowing teacup became a perfect mirror. He saw himself. He saw his pride, his intellectual arrogance, his desperate need to be the one who knows. He saw that he had not come to learn, but to confirm what he already thought he knew. All his books, all his theories, all his lectures, they were just so much tea, filling him up, leaving no room for a single drop of fresh, direct experience. The profound truth he had been seeking was not in a book or a complex idea. It was in this simple, humbling moment of seeing his own fullness. As you rest here, allow this story to wash over you. The state of feeling lost often triggers the same response it did in the professor. We rush to fill the void of uncertainty with answers, with plans, with mental activity. We believe that if we think hard enough, we can solve the puzzle of our lives. But Zen invites us to a different path. It invites us to cultivate what is known as shoshin, or beginner's mind. A beginner's mind is the opposite of the professor's full cup. It is an empty cup. It is a mind that is open, eager, and free of preconceptions. Think of a small child seeing a butterfly for the first time. The child does not have a name for it, a scientific classification, or a theory about its migratory patterns. The child simply sees. There is a sense of wonder, of awe, of direct, unfiltered connection. The child's mind is not full of ideas about the butterfly. It is filled with the experience of the butterfly. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. To feel lost is to be given a precious opportunity to return to this beginner's mind. The empty map is an invitation to empty your cup. When you admit, "I don't know," you create a space for something new to enter. The anxiety of not knowing comes from the belief that you should know. It is the ego's resistance to emptiness. But the stillness of open curiosity comes from embracing the not knowing. It is a gentle release of the need to be in control, to have the answer. Imagine your mind as a vast, open sky. Your thoughts, your worries, your plans, your beliefs, they are like clouds. Sometimes the sky is full of heavy, dark storm clouds. They block the sun and feel permanent, all-encompassing. This is the state of the full cup. But the sky itself is never harmed by the clouds. The clouds are just passing through. The nature of the sky is boundless, open space. Beginner's mind is the practice of remembering that you are the sky, not the clouds. It is the willingness to let the clouds of what you think you know drift by, without clinging to them. It is the courage to rest in the open space of uncertainty. This is not a state of ignorance. It is a state of profound intelligence. It is the intelligence of the body, which knows how to breathe without you telling it to. It is the intelligence of the heart, which knows how to feel and connect. It is the intelligence of awareness itself, which can perceive the world directly, without the constant filter of judgment and analysis. So tonight, as you lie here, you are invited to a gentle practice. You don't need to solve the problem of being lost. You don't need to fill in your empty map. You only need to notice the fullness of your own cup. Notice the thoughts that say, "I need to figure this out." Notice the worries about tomorrow. Notice the stories you tell yourself about who you are and where you should be. You don't have to fight these thoughts. Simply see them, as Nanin saw the professor's lecture. Acknowledge them, as Nanin acknowledged his guest's thirst. And then, gently, with the same grace as the master pouring tea, allow them to overflow. Let them spill out, creating a space within you. Imagine your mind as an empty bowl, resting in an open field, waiting for the rain. There is no striving, no effort, just a quiet, patient receptivity. What might you learn if you stopped trying to know? What might you see if you stopped looking for something specific? What path might appear if you stopped insisting on a map? The feeling of being lost is the universe's way of saying, empty your cup. The way forward is not found in what you already know. It is a call to humility, to curiosity, to wonder. It is an invitation to put down the heavy books of the past and the future and to simply be here, now, in this quiet, unknowing moment. Let the story of the overflowing tea soothe your mind. It is okay not to have the answers. It is more than okay. It is the beginning of wisdom. The peace that the professor was seeking was not found in another book, but in the space that was created when he finally fell silent. Your peace, too, is waiting for you in that same quiet space. Let go of the need to know. Allow yourself to be the unknowing cloud, drifting in the vast, peaceful sky of your own being. There is nothing to figure out. There is only this breath, this moment, this gentle descent into the quiet mystery of sleep. Let us stay with this feeling a little longer, in the quiet hermitage of the mind. Let us watch the spilled tea as it seeps into the grain of the wooden tray. For the professor, this was not an end, but a beginning. The silence that followed Nanin's words was not empty. It was potent, alive. It was the sound of a lifetime of certainty beginning to crack. He did not argue. He did not defend himself. For the first time, he had no words, no theories to offer. He simply bowed, a deep, genuine bow, not from the head, but from the heart. It was a bow of gratitude for the lesson, and a bow of surrender to the vastness of what he did not know. As the professor walked back down the mountain path, the world seemed entirely new. Before, the path had been a mere inconvenience, a distance to be covered between his starting point and his intellectual goal. Now, the path was everything. He felt the crunch of gravel and dry leaves under his sandals. He noticed the intricate patterns of moss growing on a stone wall, a universe of green he had never seen before. A small, purple wildflower, one he might have lectured about in a botany class, seemed to vibrate with a life he had never perceived through the lens of his knowledge. He was not naming it, not classifying it. He was simply meeting it. His cup, still far from empty, had at least been cleared of a few stale drops, making room for the taste of this one, real moment. The anxiety of being lost in life feels so much like the professor's initial state. We are walking a path, but our attention is not on the path itself. It is on a destination we have constructed in our minds, a future version of ourselves that is more successful, more peaceful, more complete. We are so busy reading the map of our expectations that we do not feel the earth beneath our feet. The practice of emptying the cup is the practice of putting down that map, just for a moment, and arriving where you already are. This emptying is not a violent act of forgetting. It is not about becoming ignorant or erasing the valuable lessons life has taught you. The professor did not need to burn his library. The wisdom is in learning how to hold that knowledge lightly. Imagine a master carpenter. He has spent decades learning the properties of wood, the use of every tool, the principles of joinery. His knowledge is immense. But when he stands before a new piece of timber, he does not impose his will upon it immediately. He first becomes quiet. He listens. He runs his hand over the grain, feeling its unique texture, its history, its potential. He brings his lifetime of knowledge to the conversation, but he also brings an open mind, a beginner's mind, ready to be surprised by what this particular piece of wood has to teach him. His expertise does not close him off. It opens him up to a deeper level of perception. In the same way, your experiences, your memories, your skills, they are your tools. They are your understanding of the wood. But when you feel lost, it is because you have come to a new and unfamiliar piece of timber. The old techniques may not work. The old plans may not apply. This is the moment to put down the tools and simply be with the wood, to feel its texture, to listen to its story. This is emptying the cup. It is the release of the assumption that your past knowledge is sufficient for this present moment. It is an act of profound respect for the mystery of what is right in front of you. Consider for a moment the library within your own mind. See the shelves filled with books you have written yourself. There is a heavy volume titled, "All the Things I Should Have Done Differently." Next to it is a slim, anxious book called, "What Will Happen Tomorrow?" There is a whole section on who I am, filled with chapters on your successes, your failures, your roles, your relationships. We consult these books constantly. When a new feeling arises, we rush to the library to find a reference. When uncertainty appears, we search for a book with a map. The feeling of being lost is the moment you realize there is no book in your library for this experience. You have walked off the edge of your own known world, and the mind, the librarian, panics. It insists on finding an answer, a category, a label. But the invitation of Zen, the invitation of the empty cup, is to simply walk out of the library, to leave the books on the shelves, and to step outside into the fresh, unwritten air of the present moment. Here, in this moment, there is no story. There is only the feeling of the breath entering your body and leaving it. There is only the gentle weight of the blankets upon you. There is only the quiet hum of the world outside your window. This is reality. The stories in the library are just echoes, ghosts. The peace you seek is not in finding the right book, but in realizing you don't need a book at all. This is the freedom of the unknowing cloud. A cloud does not worry about its shape. It does not cling to its form from one moment to the next. It is born of vapor. It drifts, it merges, it rains, it vanishes. It is in a constant state of becoming and unbecoming. It has no destination, only a journey. It moves with the winds, not resisting but yielding, dancing with the currents of the atmosphere. To be an unknowing cloud is to allow yourself to be fluid, to release the rigid identity that feels so heavy. When you feel lost, it is often because you are trying to be a mountain, fixed, solid, and permanent, in a world that is asking you to be a cloud. Allow yourself this fluidity as you drift towards sleep. Let the identity you hold so tightly, the one with all the responsibilities, the history, the worries, soften at the edges. Let it become more transparent, more cloud-like. You are not just your job. You are not just your past. You are not just your plans. You are the vast, open awareness in which all of these things appear and disappear, like clouds in the sky. Each breath out is a gentle emptying. With every exhalation, you can let go of one more opinion, one more expectation, one more piece of certainty. You are pouring out the stale tea of the day, making room for the deep, restorative quiet of the night. You do not need to know who you will be tomorrow. You do not need to have the answer to the problem that troubles your mind. Tonight, your only task is to be the empty cup, to be the open sky, to be the quiet, receptive earth, ready to receive the gift of rest. The professor's journey did not end with his visit to Nan Inn. It began. He returned to his university, to his library, but he was a different man. He still taught, but his words now came from a place of deeper silence. He listened more than he spoke. He learned to see the beginner's mind in his students and to honor it. He learned that the greatest wisdom was not in the accumulation of answers, but in the courage to live in the heart of the question. This is the gift that awaits you now. The question of your life does not need an immediate answer. To feel lost is simply to be living in the heart of that beautiful, sacred question. Rest there. Be empty. Be still. In the fertile ground of unknowing, the truest path begins to grow. Not from a map, but from the quiet wisdom of your own being, watered by the gentle rain of acceptance. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to know. Simply rest and let the mystery hold you. The river's journey. After the mind has been emptied, even just a little, a new and more subtle challenge arises. The open space of not knowing can feel vulnerable, exposed. The habit of control is strong. Having let go of the need for a map and having emptied the cup of old certainties, the mind may now try to command the very flow of life itself. It wants to direct the path, to manage the journey, to ensure a safe and predictable outcome. When we feel lost, there is a powerful urge to grab the oars and row frantically, even if we have no idea which way to go. We believe that effort, struggle, and force are the only ways to move forward. We mistake frantic activity for progress. This struggle is like trying to push a river. Imagine standing waist-deep in a current, trying with all your might to make the water flow faster or to change its direction. It is an exhausting, impossible, and deeply frustrating task. The river, in its immense and patient power, simply continues on its course, indifferent to our struggle. Our effort only serves to tire us out, to churn the water around us into a chaotic foam, and to make us feel powerless. This is the state of a mind that resists the natural flow of life. It is a state of constant, low-grade tension, a bracing against the current, a belief that if we just relax, we will be swept away and lost forever. But the great wisdom traditions, particularly Taoism, which flows so beautifully into the river of Zen, offer a different way. It is the way of Wu Wei. These words can be translated as effortless action or non-forcing. It is not about passivity or laziness. It is not about giving up. It is the practice of aligning our own small energy with the vast, intelligent energy of the universe. It is the wisdom of knowing when to act and when to allow. It is the art of sailing rather than rowing, of using the winds and the currents as they are, not as we wish them to be. It is the profound realization that the river already knows the way to the sea. Our task is not to push it, but to learn to flow with it. Let us leave the struggle behind and walk to the bank of a great river. Find a soft patch of moss under a willow tree and simply sit. Watch the water, listen to it. The river is one of nature's most profound teachers. It holds the secret of letting go, of persistence, and of unwavering trust in the journey. The river does not worry about the future. It does not anxiously ask, "Will I make it to the ocean?" It does not look back and regret the mountains it has left behind. It exists, completely and utterly, in the present moment of its own flowing. Its entire being is this one act, to move, to yield, to follow the natural pull of the earth. Think of how the river begins. It does not start as a mighty force. It starts as a tiny seep of moisture from the earth, high in a secluded mountain meadow. A single drop joins another. A quiet trickle finds a groove in the soil. It is humble, small, and seemingly insignificant. It does not announce its grand intention to reach the sea. It simply does the next thing that is natural to do. It flows downhill. It follows the path of least resistance. This is its only rule. As you watch this young stream, you see it encounter its first obstacles. A pile of small pebbles lies in its path. The stream does not try to smash them or leap over them in a great display of power. It does not despair that its path is blocked. It simply yields. It flows around the pebbles, finding the tiny, open channels between them. It embraces them, softening their edges over time, but it does not fight them. It is a perfect dance of yielding and persistence. Further down the mountain, the stream has grown, fed by other small trickles and by the falling rain. It is now a rushing creek, laughing and chattering as it tumbles over rocks. It comes to a great, immovable boulder, a true giant blocking its way. A mind that believes in force would see this as a disaster, a point of failure. It would spend all its energy trying to push the boulder out of the way, growing weaker and more frustrated with every effort. But the creek does not do this. It does not see the boulder as an enemy, it simply accepts its presence. The water pools for a moment at the base of the great stone, gathering its strength, not for a fight, but for a deeper listening. It feels its way along the contours of the rock, exploring every crevice, every surface. And then it finds the way. It splits, flowing around both sides of the boulder, and rejoins itself on the other side, its journey uninterrupted. It has not conquered the obstacle. It has included it. It has made the boulder a part of its own dance. The obstacle did not stop the journey, it simply shaped it, giving it a new and interesting form. How many boulders are there in your own life? The situations, the feelings, the people that seem to be blocking your path. The mind's habit is to see them as problems to be eliminated. We push, we fight, we exhaust ourselves trying to remove the boulder. The wisdom of the river invites a different approach. Can you cease the struggle? Can you, just for a moment, stop pushing and instead listen? Can you feel your way around the edges of the problem, accepting its presence without consenting to be defeated by it? Often, the path forward is not through the obstacle, but around it. The way of yielding is a path of profound strength. Now the journey continues. The creek, now a young river, reaches a cliff's edge, a great waterfall. For a human, this would be a moment of terror, a fall into the abyss. But the river has no fear. It does not cling to the cliff's edge, trying to hold itself back. It understands that the way down is part of the way forward. It surrenders completely to gravity, letting go of everything. It becomes the waterfall. In a thunderous roar and a cloud of mist, it transforms its potential energy into a powerful, dynamic force. It is a moment of total release, of absolute surrender. And at the bottom, in a deep, calm pool, it gathers itself once more and flows on, refreshed and renewed by its great letting go. Our lives have waterfalls too. The moments of crisis, of loss, of profound change, when it feels like the ground has disappeared from beneath our feet. We cling, we grasp, we fear the fall. But the river teaches us that there is a great power in surrender. Sometimes, the only way forward is to let go completely, to trust that the fall itself is a necessary part of the journey, a transformation that will lead to a new and deeper pool of stillness on the other side. Leaving the mountains behind, the river now enters a wide, flat valley. Here, its character changes completely. The rushing, youthful energy is gone. It becomes broad, deep, and slow. It begins to meander, carving great, looping S-curves across the landscape. From the perspective of someone who values speed and directness, this meandering seems inefficient, wasteful. Why doesn't it just flow in a straight line? But the river knows a deeper wisdom. This slow, meandering phase is essential. It is here that the river nourishes the land, creating fertile floodplains where life can flourish. It is here that it deepens its own channel, gaining substance and gravitas. It is a time of integration, of quiet, unhurried progress. It is not moving quickly, but it is moving powerfully, with the weight of all it has gathered on its journey. We all have these periods in our lives. Times when our progress seems to slow, when our path is no longer direct. We feel we are meandering, going sideways instead of forward. Our culture tells us these are times of stagnation, that we should be more productive, more focused, more driven. But the river reminds us that these are the times we are deepening our channel. These are the times we are nourishing the landscape of our own souls. Trust the meandering. It is not a detour from the path, it is the path itself, gathering the richness it needs for the next stage of the journey. Finally, after its long and varied journey, the river begins to sense a change. The water becomes brackish, the scent of salt is in the air. It is approaching its destination, the great, boundless ocean. There is no fanfare, no dramatic arrival. There is only a gentle merging. The river does not crash into the sea. It flows into it, dissolving its own boundaries. The banks that defined it, that gave it a separate identity as river, melt away. Its water, which has traveled so far, carrying the memory of the mountain spring, the granite boulder, the misty waterfall, and the fertile plain, now becomes one with the vast, timeless water of the ocean. It is not an end. It is not a death. It is a homecoming. The river does not cease to exist. It becomes something infinitely larger than itself. It has fulfilled its nature. Its journey is complete, not because it reached a finish line, but because it has returned to its source, to the wholeness from which it came. As you lie here, preparing for sleep, feel yourself as this river. Your life, with all its twists and turns, is a sacred journey. The anxiety you feel when you are lost is the feeling of trying to push against the current, of fighting the boulders in your path. The relaxation you seek is in the gentle act of letting go, of trusting the flow. You do not need to force your way forward. You only need to yield to the natural downward pull of this present moment. Let the current of your own breath guide you. It is a gentle, persistent rhythm, always present, always reliable. It knows the way. When you encounter an obstacle in your mind, a worry, a fear, a difficult memory, do not try to smash it. Do not waste your energy fighting it. Be like the river. Acknowledge its presence. Let your awareness flow around it, gently, patiently. Find the open spaces. The obstacle may not disappear, but it will cease to block your path. You can include it in your journey without being stopped by it. If you feel you are in a period of slowness, of meandering, do not judge yourself. Trust that you are in a phase of deepening. You are nourishing your own inner landscape. Be patient. The current is still moving, even if it is slow and quiet. And now, as sleep approaches, feel yourself nearing the great ocean. Sleep is a nightly homecoming. It is a time when the banks of the ego, the sense of a separate, striving self, can gently dissolve. You are invited to let go of your name, your history, your plans for tomorrow. You can release your identity as the river and merge with the vast, peaceful ocean of consciousness. There is no effort required. You cannot force yourself to sleep, just as the river cannot force itself into the ocean. You can only create the conditions for surrender. Soften your body. Release the tension in your jaw, your shoulders, your hands. Trust the gentle current that is pulling you toward rest. It is a safe and natural flow. You have made this journey every night of your life. The ocean is your true home. It is waiting to hold you, to rock you in its timeless, silent depths. Let go. Flow. Become the ocean. Rest now. Let us linger here for a moment longer, at the edge of this great ocean of sleep. The invitation to let go is simple, but the mind can find it difficult. So let us not see it as a command, but as a gentle observation of what is already happening. The river does not decide to let go. Its very nature is to release, to move, to flow. Your own true nature is the same. Consider the substance of the river itself, water. In the Tao Te Ching, the great book of wisdom that flows alongside Zen, it is said that the highest good is like water. Water benefits all things and does not compete. It settles in the lowly places that others disdain. In this, it is like the Tao, the natural way of the universe. Water is the embodiment of Wu Wei. It is soft, yielding, and formless. You cannot grasp it. You cannot strike it and leave a wound. Yet this same soft, yielding water can, over millennia, wear away the hardest stone. It does not do this through brute force, but through gentle, patient, unwavering persistence. This is the nature of your own awareness, your own breath. It is the softest thing you know. It is gentle, yielding, asking nothing. Yet it has the power to soften the hardest knots of anxiety in your mind and body. When you feel a place of tension, a worry that feels like a hard stone in your heart, do not try to smash it with effort. Instead, let the soft, gentle river of your breath flow over it. With each inhalation and each exhalation, the water of your awareness bathes this hard place. It may not disappear in an instant, but slowly, patiently, its sharp edges will begin to soften. Its solid resistance will begin to dissolve. Trust in the power of softness. Trust in the wisdom of your own gentle breath. Think also of what the river carries. It is not just pure water. On its surface, it carries fallen leaves, twigs, petals from a blossoming tree. In its current, it carries fine grains of silt and sand, the very substance of the mountains it has worn away. The river does not cling to these things. It does not identify with them. A golden leaf from a ginkgo tree may float upon it for a mile, a beautiful passenger on the journey. But the river does not say, "I am this golden leaf." It simply carries it for a while, and then, at a bend in the bank or a slowing of the current, it gently sets it down. Your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, they are like these leaves and grains of silt. They are not you. They are simply things that the river of your consciousness is carrying for a while. A worry about tomorrow may float on the surface of your mind. A memory from the past may swirl in the current. The habit of the mind is to reach out and grasp them, to pull them from the water and examine them, to declare, "This is me. This worry is who I am." But the river teaches another way. You can simply allow them to be there. You can watch them float by. You do not have to grasp them. You do not have to push them away. They are just passengers on the stream of this present moment. Acknowledge them as the river acknowledges the leaf, and then let the current of your breath carry them onward. They will be set down in their own time. You can rest in the flowing, the carrying, without becoming entangled in what is being carried. You are the river, not the debris floating in it. The river also knows the wisdom of seasons. It is not always the same. In the spring, fed by melting snows, it can be a raging torrent, overflowing its banks, its power awesome and untamed. In the height of summer, it can become slow, gentle and shallow, a place of quiet, lazy drifting. In the autumn, it reflects the brilliant colors of the changing trees, a mood of beautiful melancholy. And in the deep of winter, its surface may freeze over completely, becoming a sheet of ice, seemingly still and lifeless. But even under the thickest ice, deep below, the current still flows. The journey to the sea has not stopped. It has only changed its form. Your own life, your own inner world, has seasons. There are times you will feel full of energy, like the spring flood. There are times you will feel slow and quiet, like the summer stream. And there are times you may feel frozen, stuck, unable to move. It is okay. All of these are natural seasons of the soul. If you feel frozen tonight, know that beneath the surface of that feeling, the deep, quiet current of your life force is still flowing. It is still moving you gently toward your own great ocean of peace. You do not need to fight the ice, you only need to rest and trust the hidden current that flows in the depths. So now, feel the final, gentle pull. The river does not strain to reach the ocean. The closer it gets, the more the ocean itself seems to reach out, drawing the river into its embrace. The distinction between river and ocean begins to blur. The water tastes of both fresh and salt. The tides of the great sea begin to influence the river's flow. This is what is happening as you drift into sleep. The great ocean of deep consciousness is reaching for you. The tides of sleep are beginning to wash over the banks of your waking mind. Let them. Do not hold on to the bank. Do not cling to your identity as a separate river. Let the boundaries soften. Feel the line between your body and the bed begin to dissolve. Feel the distinction between the air you are breathing and the body that is breathing it begin to fade. You are not a small, separate self that must accomplish the difficult task of falling asleep. You are a living part of a vast, intelligent universe that is inviting you to come home to rest. It is the most natural thing in the world. It is the river fulfilling its destiny. Let go of the oars. Let go of the map. Let go of the name of your river. Let yourself be carried into the boundless, silent, peaceful water that has been waiting for you all along. You are not just going to the ocean. You are the ocean, remembering itself. Rest in that vastness now. The shelter of now. As we float in this gentle current, trusting the river's journey, the mind may still find reasons to be anxious. Even when we accept that we cannot force the flow of life, the sheer vastness of the river can feel overwhelming. We look ahead into the mists of the future and see an endless, unknown expanse. We look back at the long, winding path we have traveled, and the mind gets caught in eddies of regret or nostalgia. When we feel lost, it is often because our attention is scattered across this entire, immense landscape. We are trying to inhabit the whole river at once, its source, its rapids, its meandering plains, and its distant, unseen estuary. And it is too much. The human heart is not designed to hold the entire journey all at once. It is designed to hold this one, single, precious moment. The antidote to this feeling of being overwhelmed is not to find a better map or to row harder. It is to find an anchor. It is to discover that amidst the constant flow, there is a place of profound stillness and safety. This place is not a distant harbor you must strive to reach. It is not a location on a map at all. It is the shelter of the present moment. It is the simple, radical act of coming home to right here, right now. In the Zen tradition, there is a story of a wandering monk named Ryokan. Ryokan was a poet and a calligrapher, a gentle soul who lived a life of profound simplicity. He had no temple, no followers, no possessions to speak of, save for his robes, his begging bowl, and his bamboo hat. He wandered from village to village, sleeping in abandoned huts or under the open sky. To an outside observer, he was the very definition of lost and homeless. He had no fixed address, no plan for the future, no security in the conventional sense. One evening, after a long day of walking, Ryokan took shelter in a small, derelict hut at the foot of a mountain. He was tired and hungry, but his heart was content. He sat in the lotus posture, watched the moon rise over the distant peaks, and composed a poem. Later that night, while he was deep in meditation, a thief crept into the hut. The thief searched frantically in the darkness, but was dismayed to find there was absolutely nothing to steal. Ryokan, sensing the man's presence and his desperate poverty, felt a wave of compassion. When the thief was about to leave, empty-handed and dejected, Ryokan stopped him. "You have come a long way to visit me," he said, his voice gentle and calm. "You should not leave with empty hands. Please, take my robes as a gift." Before the bewildered thief could protest, Ryokan removed his only set of robes and gave them to him. The thief, utterly confused by this act of generosity, grabbed the robes and fled into the night. Ryokan sat there in the cold, naked and alone, watching the moon. He felt no anger, no sense of loss. Instead, a quiet joy filled his heart. He looked up at the brilliant silver disk in the sky and thought to himself, "Poor man, I wish I could have given him this beautiful moon." This story is a profound teaching on the nature of home. The thief, who likely had a place to live, was homeless in his own mind. His mind was constantly searching, grasping, believing that his happiness and security depended on acquiring something from the outside. He was lost in the future, in the endless pursuit of more. Ryokan, who had no physical home, was perfectly at home. His home was not a place, it was a state of being. His shelter was the present moment, a shelter so vast and secure that he could afford to give everything away and still feel completely rich. He possessed nothing, and so he could not be robbed of anything. His peace was not dependent on his circumstances, it was rooted in his awareness. He was at home in the universe. When we feel lost, we are like the thief. We are searching for a home outside of ourselves. We think, if only I had a different job, a different relationship, a clearer sense of purpose, then I would feel secure, then I would feel at home. We are looking for a permanent shelter in the constantly changing world of forms. But this is like trying to build a house on the surface of a flowing river. Everything changes. Possessions break or are lost. Relationships evolve. Our bodies age. Our plans go awry. To place our sense of home in anything external is to guarantee that we will always feel a little bit homeless, a little bit lost, because the ground is always shifting beneath our feet. The wisdom of Ryokan, the wisdom of Zen, is to find the ground that never shifts. And that ground is the awareness of the present moment, the now. It is the only place that is ever truly real. The past is a memory, a ghost. The future is a projection, a dream. The only time you have ever lived or will ever live is now. This moment is your true home. It is your only shelter. So, how do we find this shelter? How do we come home to the now, especially when the mind is a storm of anxiety and worry? The way is surprisingly simple. It is through the body. The body is always in the present moment. It is never in the past or the future. It is breathing right now. Its heart is beating right now. It is feeling the sensation of touch right now. The body is our anchor in the stormy sea of thought. Let us practice finding this shelter together as you lie here. Let your attention, which may have been wandering in the vast landscapes of yesterday and tomorrow, gently come home. Let it come home to the simple, undeniable reality of your own physical presence. Begin with your breath. Do not try to change it or control it. Simply feel it. Feel the sensation of the cool air entering your nostrils. Follow its path down into your lungs. Feel the gentle expansion of your chest and belly as you breathe in. And then feel the complete release, the gentle letting go as you breathe out. The breath is the most faithful companion. It has been with you every single moment of your life, and it will be with you until the very end. It is the rhythm of life itself, happening right now. Each breath is an anchor that can pull you out of the turbulent currents of thought and into the calm, deep waters of the present. When you are lost in thought, come home to the breath. It is always here, waiting for you. Now, expand your awareness to include the whole of your body. Feel the weight of your body resting on the surface beneath you. Notice the points of contact, your head on the pillow, your shoulders on the mattress, the weight of your arms and legs. Let gravity hold you. You do not need to hold yourself up. For this one moment, you can completely surrender your weight to the earth. The earth is solid, stable, and supportive. It is holding you. Let yourself be held. This feeling of being supported is a deep and profound form of shelter. Bring your attention to your hands. Can you feel the subtle tingling of energy in your palms and fingertips? You don't have to imagine it. Just bring a quiet, curious attention there and see what you notice. Perhaps you feel warmth or coolness or a gentle pulsation. This is the feeling of your own life force, your aliveness, happening right now. It is not a thought. It is a direct sensory experience. This aliveness is your true home. Now let your sense of hearing open up. Listen to the sounds around you, without labeling them or judging them. There may be the hum of a fan, the distant sound of traffic, the creak of the house settling. Hear these sounds as if they were a kind of music, the symphony of this present moment. Do not strain to listen. Simply let the sounds wash over you. The world is speaking to you right now. You are not separate from it. You are a part of this vast, living soundscape. This too is a form of shelter, a sense of belonging to the moment as it is. By anchoring yourself in these simple, direct sensory experiences, breathing, feeling, hearing, you are stepping out of the chaotic narrative of the mind and into the peaceful reality of the present. You are taking refuge. The past and future are stories. The feeling of your breath is real. The worry about a meeting next week is a story. The feeling of warmth in your hands is real. The regret about something you said yesterday is a story. The sound of the rain on the window is real. Each time you return to the senses, you are like Ryokan, sitting naked in his hut. You are letting go of the possessions of the mind, your worries, your plans, your regrets, and discovering a richness that cannot be stolen. You are discovering the moon. The moon is the simple, luminous beauty of the present moment, always available, always shining, whether we notice it or not. This practice is not about stopping your thoughts. Thoughts will arise just as clouds drift across the sky. The practice is about changing your relationship to them. Instead of getting lost in the clouds, you learn to rest your attention on the vast, open sky of your awareness. When a thought of worry comes, "I am so lost in my career," you can acknowledge it. There is a thought about being lost. And then, gently, you guide your attention back to your anchor, the feeling of your breath. You are not fighting the thought, you are simply choosing not to make it your home. You are choosing the shelter of the now instead. This is a practice of profound kindness to yourself. When you are lost, the mind tends to be harsh, critical, and demanding. It tells you to try harder, to figure it out. Coming home to the now is an act of gentleness. It is saying to yourself, "It is okay. Just for this one breath, you don't have to solve anything. Just for this one moment, you can be here and be safe." As you continue to rest here, letting your body grow heavier and more relaxed, know that this shelter is always available to you. It is not something you have to create or achieve. It is your birthright. It is the very ground of your being. The feeling of being lost is a temporary weather pattern, a passing storm in the mind. Your true home, the present moment, is the deep, unshakable earth beneath the storm. Let each breath be a step on the path back home. Let each sensation in your body be a reminder that you are here, you are alive. You are not your story. You are not your problems. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which all things arise and pass away. This awareness is your ultimate refuge. Like Ryokan's hut, it may seem empty, but it contains the entire universe. It contains the beautiful, shining moon of this one, perfect, present moment. Rest in this shelter. You are home. You are safe. All is well, right here, right now. Let us deepen this feeling of shelter, this profound sense of being at home in the now. The mind, even when gently guided back to the present, can be a persistent storyteller. It might whisper, "This is nice, this calm feeling, but it won't last. The problems are still there, waiting for me in the morning." This is the mind's fear of the present moment's simplicity. It is so accustomed to the drama of past and future that the quiet peace of the now can feel unsettling, even boring. It wants to go back to chewing on its problems, believing that this mental activity is somehow productive. But what if this present moment is not just a temporary escape from your problems? What if it is the only place where true solutions can ever be found? When you are lost in the forest of anxious thought, you are spinning in circles. You are caught in the same repetitive loops of worry and fear. You have no perspective. you are too close to the tangled undergrowth to see the way out. Coming home to the now is like climbing a tall tree. By anchoring yourself in the stillness of your body and breath, you are lifting yourself above the confusing thicket of your thoughts. From this higher vantage point, you don't necessarily see the entire path out of the forest, but you do gain perspective. You can see the patterns of your own thinking. You can see the way the sun is slanting through the trees, indicating a direction. You can feel the breeze on your face, a subtle guide. In the stillness of the present, a deeper intelligence has a chance to emerge. This is the intelligence that is not based on frantic calculation, but on quiet intuition and clear seeing. The problems of your life are not solved at the level of the problem, that is, at the level of anxious thought. They are solved in the spaciousness that you discover when you step out of that thought stream. It is in the quiet gap between two worried thoughts that a creative insight can arise. It is in the calm acceptance of the present moment that you find the strength and clarity to take the next wise step. Think of a glass of water filled with mud. If you stir it frantically, trying to separate the mud from the water, you will only make it murkier. The only way to get clear water is to set the glass down and let it be still. Over time, naturally and without any effort on your part, the mud will settle to the bottom and the water will become clear. Your mind is like this glass of water. When it is agitated with the mud of worry and fear, you cannot see clearly. The practice of returning to the now is the practice of setting the glass down. You are not trying to force the mud to settle. You are simply allowing the mind's natural state of clarity to reveal itself. This shelter of the now is also a place of profound healing. The body holds the stories of the past. The tension in your shoulders might be the physical residue of old burdens. The tightness in your stomach might be the echo of past fears. When you are lost in thought, you are disconnected from your body, and these patterns of holding remain unconscious and unresolved. But when you bring your awareness home to your body, you bring a gentle, healing light. Imagine your awareness is like warm, golden sunlight. As you let this sunlight of attention fill your body, it begins to gently melt the frozen places, the areas of chronic tension and holding. You don't have to analyze why your shoulder is tight. You don't need to dig up the old story. You simply need to bring a kind, non-judgmental awareness to the sensation itself. You breathe into it. You meet the tightness with softness. And in this meeting, in this gentle, present moment attention, the old energy can begin to release. The body can finally let go of the burdens it has been carrying for so long. This is not a mental exercise. It is a deep, physical process of release and healing that can only happen in the now. Furthermore, this present moment is the only place where true joy and beauty can be experienced. The mind can remember joy from the past, and it can anticipate happiness in the future, but it can only experience joy right now. The simple pleasure of a comfortable bed, the feeling of a soft blanket against your skin, the quiet beauty of the moonlight filtering through your window. These are the real riches of life. They are Ryokan's moon. But we so often miss them, because we are living in our heads, lost in the ghost world of thought. To feel lost is to be temporarily blind to the beauty and support that is always present. To come home to the now is to regain your sight. It is to see that even in the midst of uncertainty, there are countless small anchors of grace. There is the steady rhythm of your own heart. There is the simple miracle of your body breathing itself. There is the silence that holds all the sounds. This is not a denial of difficulty. Life can be painful, and challenges are real. The shelter of the now is not a flimsy hut that pretends the storm doesn't exist. It is a deep, underground cavern that is untouched by the storm. The winds can howl, the rain can beat down, but in this deep, inner space of presence, you are safe. You can feel the storm, you can acknowledge its power, but you are not the storm. You are the deep, quiet stillness that is witnessing the storm. From this place of refuge, you can endure anything. So let this be your final practice as you drift into sleep. Let your bed be Ryokan's hut. Let it be a sacred space, a temple of the present moment. Feel the simple reality of your physical form. Notice the subtle symphony of sensations. Welcome the sounds, the feelings, the very aliveness of this moment without needing it to be any different than it is. If the thief of worry comes into your hut tonight, do as Ryokan did. Greet him with compassion. See his poverty, his desperate search for security. And then, gently, offer him the only thing of value you have, your presence. Offer him the moon. Do not follow him out into the cold night of anxious thought. Stay in your hut. Stay with the moon. Stay with the simple, luminous and unshakable reality of this one present moment. This is your true home. You have never left it. You have only been dreaming that you are lost. Now you are waking up, not to the day, but to the deep reality of your own being. You are waking up to the peace that has been here all along, waiting patiently beneath the noise of the mind. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to find. Simply be here. Rest here. You are home. The beauty of the crack. As we rest in the shelter of the now, a deep sense of peace can begin to settle. We discover that we are safe, that we are held, that this present moment is a sufficient home. But even in this newfound stillness, another layer of anxiety can surface. It is the anxiety of imperfection. When we feel lost, it is often accompanied by a feeling of being flawed. We look at the winding, sometimes broken path behind us and see it as evidence of our mistakes. We see the detours, the stumbles, the periods of confusion not as part of the journey, but as blemishes on it. We believe a good life, a successful path, should be a straight, unbroken line leading from one achievement to the next. Our culture worships the flawless, the new, the pristine, are taught to hide our scars, to correct our imperfections, to present a polished and seamless version of ourselves to the world. When we feel lost, this pressure intensifies. We feel that our life story is a messy, fractured narrative, and we are ashamed of it. We compare our own cracked and mended path to the seemingly perfect journeys of others, and we fall into despair. We believe that our brokenness makes us unworthy, that the cracks in our story are signs of failure. But in the quiet, contemplative aesthetic of Japan, and deeply woven into the fabric of Zen, there is a different way of seeing. It is a philosophy known as wabi-sabi. These are two words that are difficult to translate directly, but together they point to a profound and soothing truth. Wabi speaks of a rustic simplicity, a quietness, an understated elegance found in natural and imperfect things. Sabi speaks of the beauty that comes with age, the patina of time, the visible repairs that tell the story of an object's life. Together, wabi-sabi is the art of finding beauty in imperfection, of accepting the natural cycle of growth, decay, and repair. It is a gentle, compassionate worldview that sees the cracks not as flaws to be hidden, but as an essential part of an object's history, character, and beauty. To understand this more deeply, let us visit the workshop of a master potter. His name is Kenji, and he has spent 60 years of his life with his hands in clay. His workshop is a simple wooden building filled with the earthy scent of wet clay and the smoky fragrance of the wood-fired kiln. The shelves are lined with his creations, bowls, vases, and teacups. They are not the perfectly symmetrical, mass-produced items you would find in a modern store. Each one is unique. The glaze on one bowl is a little uneven, creating a pattern like a misty landscape. The shape of a vase is slightly asymmetrical, as if it is leaning gently to listen to a secret. They are filled with a quiet, living presence. They are perfectly imperfect. One day, a wealthy merchant comes to visit Kenji. The The merchant is a collector of fine things, a man who values perfection and status. He has heard of Kenji's skill and wishes to commission a set of teacups for his own prestigious tea ceremony. He specifies that the cups must be flawless, identical in every way, a testament to his own refined taste. Kenji listens patiently, his hands resting in a bowl of cool water. He agrees to the commission, and for many weeks he works. He selects the finest clay, centers it on his wheel, and with a skill born of a lifetime of practice, he forms cup after cup, each one a mirror of the last. He glazes them with a deep, lustrous black and fires them with meticulous care. When they are finished, they are, by any conventional standard, perfect. They are flawless, identical, and sterile. They have the cold beauty of a mathematical equation. The merchant is delighted. He pays Kenji a handsome sum and takes the cups away. Kenji watches him go, a subtle and unreadable expression on his face. A few weeks later, a young monk from a nearby monastery comes to visit. He has heard of Kenji's wisdom and has come not to buy, but to learn. The monk is troubled. He feels his own spiritual practice is full of flaws. His meditation is often distracted, his compassion sometimes fails, and he feels he is constantly stumbling on the path. He feels like a poorly made pot, full of cracks and imperfections. Kenji does not offer him words of advice. Instead, he says, "Let us have some tea." He leads the monk not to the shelf of his regular wares, but to a small wooden box tucked away in a corner. He opens it with a gentle reverence. Inside, resting on a bed of soft silk, is a single teacup. It is a simple, humble bowl, but the monk can see it is very old. The glaze is a beautiful, milky white, but it is covered in a fine network of crazing, like a spider's web. And on one side, there is a prominent crack, running from the rim almost to the base. But the crack is not a void. It has been carefully, lovingly mended with gold lacquer. The jagged line of the break is now a shimmering river of gold, a feature that draws the eye and makes the cup even more beautiful than it could ever have been before. This art of mending broken pottery with gold is called kintsugi, which means to join with gold. The philosophy behind it is that the object is more beautiful for having been broken, and that the repair is something to celebrate, not to disguise. The golden seam tells the story of the cup's life, its resilience, its journey through damage and healing. Kenji prepares the tea with mindful grace and serves it to the young monk in the golden-seamed cup. As the monk holds the warm bowl in his hands, he feels the raised line of the golden repair under his fingers. He looks at Kenji, his eyes full of a new understanding. "The merchant wanted perfection," Kenji says softly, his voice like the gentle rasp of sandpaper on wood. He believes that value lies in the absence of flaws, but a life without flaws is a life without a story. It is a life that has never been truly used, never been truly loved. We do not love a thing because it is perfect. We love it because it is real. The journey of this cup is written in its cracks. The gold does not hide the damage, it honors it. It makes the cup's history a visible, beautiful part of its present. The young monk looks down at his own hands, at the calluses from his work in the monastery garden. He thinks of the cracks in his own practice, the moments of doubt, the times he has been impatient, the struggles with his own ego. He had seen them as failures, as things to be ashamed of. But now, in the light of this golden-seamed bowl, he begins to see them differently. They are not signs of his failure, they are the marks of his journey. They are the places where, through struggle and repair, a new kind of beauty and strength can be born. He realizes that enlightenment is not about becoming a flawless, pristine vessel. It is about learning to hold the tea of this present moment with a heart that has been broken open and mended with the gold of compassion and wisdom. As you lie here now, you are invited to hold your own life with the same gentle accepting spirit. Think of the path that has led you to this moment. Perhaps it feels like a broken and fragmented thing. You may see the crack of a failed relationship, the chip of a career that didn't go as planned, the hairline fracture of a dream you had to let go. The habit of the mind is to focus on these breaks with judgment and regret. We wish they weren't there. We try to hide them from ourselves and from others. The wisdom of wabi-sabi and kintsugi invites you to do the opposite. It invites you to trace these cracks with your awareness, not with judgment, but with a tender curiosity. These are not mistakes. They are your story. That period where you felt utterly lost and directionless. That was not a wasted time. That was the moment the cup fell from the shelf. It was a moment of shattering. But in the gathering of the pieces, you learned something you could have learned in no other way. You learned about humility, about resilience, about the kindness of strangers. The process of putting yourself back together, piece by piece, has given you a depth and a compassion you did not have before. That relationship that ended in pain? That is a deep crack. But look closely. What did you learn about love, about loss, about your own needs and boundaries? The mending of that wound, however incomplete, has taught you something essential about your own heart. The scar it left is a mark of your capacity to feel deeply, to love, to survive. The beauty of the crack is that it is where the light gets in. A perfectly sealed, flawless vessel is a closed system. It can hold what it was made to hold, but nothing new can enter. When we are broken open by life, we become vulnerable. It can be painful and frightening, but it is also an opportunity. It is in our brokenness that we become receptive to grace, to new understanding, to a deeper connection with ourselves and with others. It is through our own wounds that we learn to have compassion for the wounds of the world. So tonight, let go of the pursuit of perfection. Give yourself permission to be exactly as you are, a beautiful, evolving work of art, complete with cracks and golden seams. Your life is not a problem to be solved, it is a story to be honored. Your perceived flaws are not signs of failure, they are the unique markings that make you who you are. Imagine you are holding your own life in your hands, like the monk holding the teacup. Feel its warmth, its weight, its unique texture. Trace the lines of its history with your inner fingers. Find a crack, a place of old pain or perceived failure. And now, imagine you can fill that crack, not with shame or regret, but with liquid gold. Imagine the warm, luminous light of acceptance, compassion, and wisdom flowing into that old wound. See it not as a scar to be hidden, but as a beautiful, shining river of gold that adds to the richness and history of your being. You do not need to be fixed. You are not broken in a way that needs to be discarded. You are being remade, moment by moment. The feeling of being lost is simply the feeling of the pieces shifting, of a new pattern emerging. It is the space between the shattering and the golden repair. Be patient with the process. Trust that the master potter, the deep intelligence of life itself, knows exactly what it is doing. The cup of your life is being made more beautiful, more resilient, and more capable of holding the precious tea of the present moment, precisely because it has been broken. Rest now in this gentle, accepting light. You are whole and complete, not in spite of your cracks, but because of them. They are your beauty, they are your strength, they are the map of your soul's journey, and they are leading you, in their own jagged and beautiful way, exactly where you need to go. Let us stay a little longer in Kenji's workshop, in the quiet presence of this golden-seamed teacup. Let its gentle wisdom seep into the deeper layers of your being. The idea of finding beauty in imperfection is not just a poetic concept, it is a profound practice for living, especially when we feel lost. The feeling of being lost is, in itself, a kind of crack in the smooth facade of our life's plan. It is the moment we realize the path is not a perfect, predictable line. Embracing this crack, and even learning to see it as beautiful, can transform our entire experience of the journey. Think about the natural world, the ultimate expression of wabi-sabi. A gnarled, ancient pine tree growing on a windswept cliff is considered more beautiful and interesting than a perfectly straight, symmetrical tree from a nursery. Why? Because its twisted branches and weathered bark tell a story. They speak of the storms it has endured, the winds it has resisted, the patient struggle for sunlight. Its imperfections are its character. They are the visible evidence of its resilience, its life force. In the same way, a human face that is too perfect, too symmetrical, can feel cold and unapproachable. It is the small asymmetries, the laugh lines around the eyes, the scar on a chin. These are the things that give a face its warmth, its history, its humanity. These are the marks of a life being lived. When you feel lost, you are like that windswept pine. You are being shaped by forces beyond your control. You may feel twisted, bent, weathered. The temptation is to see this as a deformity, to wish you were the straight, protected tree in the nursery. But the wisdom of wabi-sabi invites you to see your own weathering as a source of profound and unique beauty. The struggles you are enduring now are carving character into the very grain of your being. They are creating a strength and a resilience that you could never develop in a sheltered environment. You are not being broken, you are being sculpted. This perspective shifts our relationship with difficulty. Instead of seeing a challenge as something that is wrong with our life, we can begin to see it as a part of our life's artistry. The golden lacquer of kintsugi is often made from the sap of the lacquer tree, mixed with powdered gold. The sap itself, called urushi, is a powerful substance. It is actually toxic to the touch until it is cured, requiring great care and skill from the artisan. This is a beautiful metaphor. The very thing that has the power to heal and beautify the crack, the raw material of our own awareness and compassion, can be difficult to handle at first. It takes practice and patience to learn how to work with the painful, broken places in our lives. When a difficult emotion arises, fear, grief, confusion, our first instinct is often to push it away, to cover it up, to pretend it isn't there. This is like leaving the broken pieces of the cup in a dark corner. But the kintsugi master does the opposite. He carefully gathers every piece, even the tiniest shards. He cleans their edges. He looks at the break with focused, loving attention. He is not afraid of the damage. He knows that the break is now the most important part of the cup. In the same way, you can learn to turn towards your own difficult feelings with a gentle, craftsmanlike attention. When the feeling of being lost arises, instead of recoiling from it, you can get curious. What does it actually feel like in your body? Is it a hollowness in the chest, a tightness in the throat, a buzzing energy in the stomach? Can you hold this feeling with the same care that Kenji holds the broken cup? Can you see it not as an enemy, but as a piece of your own precious story that is asking for your attention? This is the process of applying the golden lacquer. Your awareness is the sap, the urushi. Your compassion, your kindness towards your own suffering is the powdered gold. As you breathe into the difficult sensation, as you allow it to be there without judgment, you are mixing the sap and the gold. You are beginning the slow, patient work of repair. You are not trying to erase the crack, you are illuminating it. You are transforming a place of pain into a source of beauty and strength. This is not a quick fix. The kintsugi process is slow and methodical. Each layer of lacquer must be applied and allowed to cure in a warm, humid environment before the next is added. It requires patience and trust in the process. Similarly, healing the broken places in ourselves is not an overnight event. It requires us to create a warm, compassionate inner environment and to be patient with ourselves as we apply layer after layer of gentle awareness. Some days, the crack will feel raw and painful. Other days, you will begin to feel the strength of the golden seam. The key is to trust the process, to know that every moment of mindful, compassionate attention is another layer of healing lacquer being applied. The beauty of a kintsugi-repaired bowl is that it is utterly unique. No two bowls will ever break in the same way, and so no two repairs will ever be identical. The pattern of golden rivers becomes the bowl's signature, its personal coat of arms. Your own life is the same. The specific way in which you have been broken and mended by life is what makes you uniquely you. Your cracks are your signature. To wish them away is to wish away the very things that give you your unique character and depth. The world does not need another perfect, mass-produced vessel. It needs your unique, golden-seamed heart, with all its history, its resilience, and its hard-won wisdom. So, as you settle into the final moments before sleep, let go of the burden of self-improvement, the endless project of trying to become a flawless version of yourself. You are already a masterpiece, in progress. Your life is the clay, the wheel, the fire, and the loving hands of the artisan. The feeling of being lost is just one part of the creative process. It is the moment of pressure on the wheel, the intense heat of the kiln, the fall from the shelf. It is an essential part of the story. Allow your body to soften. Allow your mind to rest. Imagine all the cracks within you, all the places of old hurt and present confusion, beginning to glow with a soft, golden light. See these lines not as faults, but as intricate, beautiful patterns. This is the story of your life, written in gold. It is a story of courage, of resilience, of a beauty that is made more profound, not less, by the challenges it has endured. There is nothing to fix. There is only a story to be honored. Rest in the beautiful, imperfect, golden truth of who you are. The heart's compass. Having found beauty in our own imperfect path, and having learned to honor the golden seams of our life story, we may find ourselves at a new kind of crossroads. The external maps have proven to be empty. The frantic search for answers in the library of the mind has led only to a full cup. We have accepted the wisdom of flowing with the river and found shelter in the now. But the question still remains, how do we navigate? If there is no pre-drawn map, and we are not meant to simply drift aimlessly, what guides our steps? When a choice must be made, when a direction must be taken, where do we turn for guidance? The world offers us 1,000 compasses. Society points us toward wealth and status. Family and friends, with the best of intentions, point us toward safety and convention. Our own conditioned minds, our egos, point us toward what is familiar and what will bring approval. We are surrounded by a cacophony of voices, each telling us which way is north. When we feel lost, this noise can become deafening, become paralyzed by the conflicting advice, terrified of making the wrong choice. We look for guidance everywhere except the one place it can truly be found, within. Deep beneath the turbulent surface of the thinking mind, beneath the layers of conditioning and expectation, there lies a quiet, unwavering source of wisdom. It does not speak in loud commands or logical arguments. Its language is more subtle. It is the language of feeling, of intuition, of a quiet, inner knowing. This is the heart's compass. It is the innate, infallible guidance system that is our birthright. The entire journey of feeling lost is, in many ways, a journey of learning to hear its subtle whisper and then finding the courage to trust it. Let us travel to a small coastal village where the scent of salt and drying seaweed hangs in the air. Here lived a young woman named Ami. Ami was a pearl diver. Every day, she would take her small boat out into the bay, take a deep breath, and dive into the cool, green depths to search for oysters. But Ami was troubled. Her family was poor, and the pearl harvest had been meager for many seasons. Her parents urged her to give up this uncertain life and marry a wealthy merchant from the city. The merchant was a good man, but his world was one of trade and ledgers, a world that felt alien to Ami's soul. All the external compasses in her life, logic, security, the advice of her loved ones, were pointing her toward the city, toward the marriage. Yet every time she considered this path, a quiet but persistent feeling of wrongness would settle in her heart. It was not a loud, dramatic feeling. It was a subtle sense of contraction, of her inner light dimming just a little. When she was out on the water, with the vast sky above and the deep mystery of the ocean below, she felt a sense of expansion, of rightness, even amidst the hardship. Her heart felt open and alive, but she did not trust this feeling. It seemed illogical, irresponsible. How could a feeling be a reliable guide? One day, an old, wandering nun came to the village. The nun had a face as wrinkled as a dried apple and eyes that held the calm, deep clarity of the ocean itself. Ami, in her distress, sought out the nun and told her of her dilemma. She explained the logical choice of the marriage and the illogical pull of the sea. "How do I know which way to go?" she pleaded. "How can I find the right path?" The nun listened without interruption. When Ami had finished, she did not offer any advice. Instead, she told her a story. "Long ago," she began, her voice as soft as the lapping waves, "there was a legend of a single perfect pearl, the tear of the moon, which was said to lie hidden in the deepest, most treacherous part of the bay. Many divers had searched for it, guided by old charts and the advice of so-called experts. They searched in the places where pearls were most commonly found, in the shallow, predictable oyster beds. They used their intellect and their experience, but none ever found it. They found many small pearls, enough to make a living, but the great pearl remained a mystery. One day," the nun continued, "a young diver who was known for her quiet and patient spirit decided to search for it. But she did not use the old charts. She did not listen to the experts. Before each dive, she would sit in her boat and become very still. She would close her eyes and listen, not with her ears, but with her whole being. She was not listening for a sound, but for a feeling, a subtle pull, a silent song that only the heart can hear. She called it the lure of the pearl. Most days she felt nothing, and on those days she would simply dive for ordinary oysters. But one morning, as she sat in silence, she felt it. A faint, quiet, but unmistakable pull from a part of the bay that everyone ignored. A deep, dark trench that was said to be empty and dangerous. Her mind was full of fear. All her training, all common sense told her to ignore this feeling. It was illogical. It was dangerous. But the pull was so clear, so pure, that she decided, just for once, to trust it. She took a deep breath, deeper than any she had taken before, and she dove, following the silent song into the darkness. She went deeper than she had ever gone, into the cold and the crushing pressure. And there, in a place no one had ever thought to look, nestled in a single ancient oyster, was the tear of the moon, glowing with a soft, inner light. The nun looked at Ami, her eyes full of a gentle, knowing compassion. "The mind is a good tool for navigating the shallow waters," she said. "It can read the charts and follow the known routes. But the greatest treasures of your life are not found in the shallow waters. They are hidden in the depths. And for that journey, the mind's charts are useless. For that, you must learn to listen to the heart's compass. You must learn to trust the lure of your own pearl." Ami sat in silence, the nun's story washing over her. She understood. The feeling of contraction when she thought of the city, that was her heart's compass telling her, no, not this way. The feeling of expansion and rightness she felt on the sea, That was the lure of her pearl, the quiet pull toward her own true north. It was not a promise of wealth or an easy life. It was simply the call of her own soul. As you rest here, this story is an invitation to turn your attention inward, to find your own heart's compass. Life constantly presents us with choices, both large and small, and the habit of the mind is to approach each choice as a mathematical problem. We make lists of pros and cons, we gather data, we poll our friends, we try to calculate the path of maximum advantage and minimum risk. This is the way of the divers searching in the shallow beds. It is a sensible strategy, and it can help us find many small, ordinary pearls. But the choices that truly define our lives are rarely so logical. The choice to begin a new creative project, to end a relationship that is no longer true, to follow a spiritual path. These decisions often make no logical sense at all. They are leaps of faith, guided by a deeper, intuitive knowing. This is the heart's compass at work. So, how do we learn to hear it? The first step is silence. The voice of the heart is quiet. It cannot be heard over the shouting of the ego and the constant chatter of the analytical mind. We must create moments of inner stillness, just as the diver sat in her boat before each dive. Meditation, a quiet walk in nature, or simply the practice of sitting for a few minutes with a cup of tea, without distraction, these are the ways we create the inner silence needed to listen. As you lie here, in the quiet of the night, you are in a perfect space to practice this listening. Let your body relax. Let your breath be slow and deep. And then, bring a gentle, open-hearted awareness to the center of your chest, the physical location of your heart. You don't need to search for anything. Simply rest your attention there. The language of the heart is not words, it is feeling. It speaks in the sensations of expansion and contraction. When you consider a path, a choice, a way of being that is in alignment with your deepest truth, you will feel a subtle sense of opening, of expansion, of warmth. It might feel like a flower unfurling in your chest. It is a feeling of yes. This is your true north. When you consider a path that is born of fear, of obligation, or of trying to please others, you will feel a subtle sense of closing down, of contraction, of coldness or heaviness. It might feel like a knot being tied in your chest. It is a feeling of no. This is your heart telling you that you are pointing away from your own truth. This is a very subtle sense. It is not a dramatic, overwhelming emotion. It is a quiet, physical intelligence. Learning to read it is like learning a new language. It requires patience, practice, and a willingness to trust what you feel over what you think. Think of a choice you are facing in your life right now. Something that makes you feel a little lost or uncertain. Don't try to think about it. Don't start making lists of pros and cons. Instead, just hold the image of one possible path in your mind. For example, hold the image of saying yes to a certain opportunity. And now, without judgment, bring your attention to your heart center. What do you feel? Is there a sense of opening, of lightness, of expansion? Or is there a sense of tightening, of heaviness, of shutting down? There is no right or wrong answer. You are simply gathering data, not from your head, but from your heart. Now, let that image go. Take a few deep breaths, and then hold the image of the other path, the other choice. Imagine saying no to that opportunity, or choosing a different direction entirely. Again, bring your attention to your heart. What do you feel now? Is it different? Is it clearer? This is the practice. It is a gentle, moment-by-moment inquiry. The heart's compass does not give you a detailed, turn-by-turn map of the future. It does not guarantee a safe or easy journey. The diver who found the tear of the moon had to face the darkness and the pressure of the deep. Following your heart requires courage. It often means choosing the path that is less traveled, less understood, and less approved of by the outside world. But the heart's compass does give you one unwavering thing: the next right step. It gives you the direction for now, and that is all you ever need. By learning to trust this inner guidance, one step at a time, you begin to build a life that is not just successful on the outside, but is deeply, authentically, and joyfully your own. You stop living a life based on a collection of external opinions and start living the life that is singing its silent song from the depths of your own being. When you feel lost, it is a sign that you have lost contact with this inner guidance. You have been listening too much to the noisy compasses of the world and have forgotten the quiet, true one within. The feeling of being lost is a sacred invitation to come home to yourself, to sit in the boat of your own being and to listen. To listen for the lure of your own great pearl. So, as you drift towards sleep, let go of the need to figure everything out with your mind. The mind has done its work for the day. It is time for it to rest. Allow your awareness to drop down from your head and into your heart. Rest in that warm, quiet space. Trust the wisdom that resides there. It knows the way. It knows the way through the darkness. It knows the way home. You don't need to see the whole path. You only need to feel the gentle, loving pull in the direction of your own deepest truth. Trust it. It will not lead you astray. It is leading you, even now, into the deep, restorative peace that is your true nature. Let us stay with Ami for a little longer, sitting in her boat on the shimmering water. The nun's story has planted a seed of courage in her heart, but the mind's habits are strong. The voice of fear and doubt does not simply vanish. It returns, perhaps even more loudly now that it is being challenged. A feeling? The voice of her mind might whisper. You are going to risk your entire future on a mere feeling. What about your duty to your family? What about security? The merchant is a guarantee. The sea is a gamble. This is foolish, childish. This is the voice of the conditioned self, the part of us that has been trained from birth to value the tangible over the intangible, the logical over the intuitive. It is the voice of the divers who stick to the shallow, predictable beds because they are afraid of the deep. This is a crucial point in the journey of learning to trust the heart's compass. It is not enough to simply hear the heart's whisper. We must also learn to recognize and befriend the voice of fear that tries to shout it down. This voice is not an enemy. It is a protector. Its primary function is to keep us safe, to keep us within the boundaries of the known. It is the part of us that remembers past hurts and wants to avoid future pain. To fight this voice, to try to silence it, is to create an inner war. The way of wisdom is not to fight the fear, but to listen to it with compassion, as the nun listened to Ami. We can acknowledge its concerns. We can say to that fearful part of ourselves, "Thank you. I hear you. I know you are trying to protect me. I appreciate your concern for my safety." By doing this, we are not giving in to the fear, but we are disarming it. We are letting it know that it has been heard. Often, once this voice feels acknowledged, it begins to soften. It loses its frantic, demanding edge. Ami could sit in her boat and allow these fearful thoughts to arise. She could watch them like clouds passing in the sky. There is the thought of duty. There is the thought of security. There is the fear of poverty. She can see them, acknowledge them, and then gently return her attention to the feeling in her heart. She can hold both, the fear in her mind and the quiet yes in her heart. And she can learn that the presence of fear does not mean the heart's compass is wrong. In fact, very often, the path with the most heart, the path that is most true, is the one that is guarded by our deepest fears. The fear is a sign that we are approaching the edge of our comfort zone, which is precisely where growth and transformation happen. The greatest treasures are always found in the deepest, most intimidating waters. This brings us to the nature of trust. Trusting the heart's compass is not a blind faith. It is not a reckless abandonment of all reason. It is a cultivated skill. It is built, like a muscle, through practice. You start small. You listen to your heart on small decisions. What does my body truly want for lunch today, beyond habit or convenience? Which friend do I feel a genuine pull to call? Which book on the shelf seems to be calling my name? By following these small intuitive nudges and seeing the positive, life-affirming results, you begin to build a body of evidence. You learn, through direct experience, that this inner guidance system is reliable. You begin to build a relationship with your own intuition. This is how Ami, after her conversation with the nun, might have proceeded. She might not have made a dramatic decision that very day. Instead, she might have simply decided to trust the pull of the sea for one more morning. She would go out in her boat, sit in silence, and follow the feeling. And perhaps on that day, she would find a few more pearls than usual, or witness a particularly beautiful sunrise, or have a moment of profound peace. Each small experience would be a confirmation, a strengthening of her trust in the heart's compass. This is a gentle, organic process. It is not about making a single, perfect, life-altering choice. It is about learning to live in a state of constant, gentle inquiry, always checking in with that inner sense of yes or no. It is a way of navigating life, not as a series of problems to be solved, but as a dance to be felt. When you feel lost, it is because you are trying to dance by thinking about the steps. You are in your head, trying to remember the choreography, trying to get it right. But the music is not in your head. The music is in your heart, in your body. The only way to dance is to stop thinking and start feeling the music. Let it move you. Your body knows the steps. Your heart knows the rhythm. So as you lie here, on the edge of sleep, let go of the choreography of your life. Let go of the need to know all the steps that are coming next. Simply bring your attention to the music, the quiet, steady rhythm of your own heart. It is the drumbeat of your own unique dance. Feel its gentle, persistent song. It is the lure of your own pearl. It is the compass that is always pointing you toward the deep, shimmering waters of your own true self. Trust this music. Let it guide your dreams. Let it be the last sound you hear as you surrender to the peaceful, healing depths of the night. The music of silence. As we learn to trust the heart's compass, a new kind of peace begins to dawn. We realize that we carry our guidance system within us. Yet, even with this inner tool, there are times when the compass needle seems to spin wildly, or to lie perfectly still, offering no direction at all. These are the periods in life when we feel not just lost, but utterly stuck. The river of our life seems to have slowed to a standstill, pooling in a stagnant backwater. We try to listen to our heart, but all we hear is silence. We try to move forward, but there seems to be no path, no energy, no inspiration. These are the times of emptiness, the great pauses in our life's narrative. And in a culture that worships action, productivity, and constant forward momentum, these pauses can feel terrifying. We interpret them as failure, as depression, as a sign that we have done something wrong. We believe that our life should be a continuous, unbroken melody of progress. We have forgotten the most fundamental principle of music, the importance of the rests. A piece of music that is all notes, with no silence between them, is not a melody. It is just noise. It is the silence, the pauses, the rests that give the notes their meaning, their rhythm, their emotional power. The silence is not the absence of music. It is an integral part of the music itself. In the same way, the periods of emptiness, of not knowing, of feeling lost and unproductive, are not the absence of life. They are an integral, necessary, and profoundly creative part of our life's journey. They are the fertile silence in which the next note of our life's song is being composed. To fear this silence, to try to fill it with frantic, meaningless activity, is to interrupt the creative process. The wisdom of Zen teaches us to honor these pauses, to lean into the emptiness and to listen deeply to the music of silence itself. Let us journey to a monastery renowned for its music, specifically the art of the shakuhachi, the traditional Japanese bamboo flute. The sound of the shakuhachi is unlike any other instrument. It is breathy, haunting, and deeply meditative. It is said that a true master can play a single note in such a way that it contains the sound of the entire universe. A young, ambitious musician named Ren came to this monastery to study with the legendary master Fuzen. Ren was technically brilliant. His fingers could fly over the holes of the flute, playing the most complex and rapid passages with astonishing precision. He had won competitions and earned the praise of many teachers. But he knew something was missing from his playing. It was technically perfect, but it lacked soul. It was a collection of beautiful notes, but it was not true music. He hoped that Master Fuzen could teach him this missing secret. For the first month, Fuzen did not allow Ren to touch his flute. Instead, he instructed him to spend his days in the monastery's vast bamboo grove. His only task was to sit, to walk, and to listen. Ren was frustrated. He had come to play music, not to listen to the wind. He tried to be a diligent student, but his mind was restless. He sat in the grove, but his thoughts were on the complex melodies he wished to be practicing. He heard the wind, but he did not truly listen. He was waiting for the silence to be over so that his own important activity could begin. One day, Fuzen came to visit him in the grove. He sat beside Ren on a smooth, moss-covered stone. He did not speak for a long time. The only sound was the gentle, sighing whisper of the wind moving through the countless stalks of bamboo. Some stalks were thick and old, some were thin and young. The wind made a different sound as it passed through each one. It was a symphony of subtle, shifting tones. Finally, Fuzen spoke, his voice no louder than the wind itself. "You are a musician who is deaf," he said, not with criticism, but with a simple, factual gentleness. "You are so full of the notes you want to play that you cannot hear the music that is already here. You think music is something you make. You have not yet learned that true music is something you allow. It is born of the silence. Before a single note is played on the shakuhachi, the master must first become the hollow bamboo. He must empty himself of his own ideas, his own ambitions, and become a vessel through which the breath of the universe can flow." He pointed to the bamboo around them. "This is your teacher," he said. "The bamboo does not try to sing. It is simply hollow, open, and still. And when the wind comes, it sings. Your task is not to learn more notes. Your task is to learn to become hollow." From that day on, Ren's practice changed. He stopped waiting for his lessons to begin and started to truly listen to the silence of the grove. He began to hear the subtle music within it. He heard the difference between the high, thin whisper of the wind in the young shoots and the deep, resonant hum it made in the thick, old stalks. He heard the percussive tap of a branch against its neighbor. He heard the silence between the gusts of wind, a silence that was not empty, but pregnant with anticipation. He began to realize that the wind and the bamboo were not two separate things. They were partners in a dance. The bamboo's stillness allowed the wind's song to be heard. The wind's movement gave the bamboo its voice. He began to understand what Fuzen meant by becoming hollow. It meant letting go of his own ego, his desire to impress, his frantic need to be doing something. It meant becoming a listener. He started to bring this practice to his own inner world. He would sit in meditation and listen to the silence between his own thoughts. He discovered that, just like the silence in the grove, it was not an empty void. It was a space of deep peace, clarity, and boundless potential. It was the source from which all true creativity flowed. After many months, Fuzen finally gave Ren his flute. "Now," he said, "play the sound of the wind in the bamboo." Ren lifted the flute to his lips, but instead of launching into a flurry of notes, he first became silent. He emptied himself, becoming the hollow bamboo. He took a single, deep breath, and he played one note. It was a long, sustained tone, full of the breathy, sighing quality of the wind. In that one note, you could hear the rustling of the leaves, the deep stillness of the grove, and the vast, empty sky above. It was not just a note, it was a living piece of the universe. It was music born not of ambition, but of deep listening. Ren had finally learned that the most important part of the music is the silence from which it comes. When you feel lost and stuck, you are being invited into your own bamboo grove. You are being asked to stop trying to play your own frantic, complicated melody for a while and to simply listen. The emptiness you feel is not a sign of failure. It is a sacred space. It is the hollow bamboo waiting for the wind of inspiration. Our society tells us to fear this emptiness. It tells us to fill every moment with activity, with entertainment, with noise. We have become so accustomed to constant stimulation that we are terrified of what we might find in the silence. We fear that we will find nothing at all, that we are fundamentally empty. But the wisdom of Zen assures us that the opposite is true. This emptiness, this sunyata, is not a void. It is a plenum void. It is an emptiness that is paradoxically full of all potential. It is the fertile darkness of the soil before the seed sprouts. It is the blank canvas before the first stroke of the brush. It is the silent, receptive mind of the master before the moment of enlightenment. To enter this fertile silence, we must be willing to let go of our addiction to doing. We must cultivate the art of not doing. This is not the same as being lazy or apathetic. It is a conscious, intentional choice to be still and receptive. It is the practice of trusting that something is happening even when we are not making it happen. It is the faith that the soil is working its magic in the darkness, that the seed is gathering its strength for the journey toward the light. So, if you feel stuck in your life right now, if you feel that your song has faded and you have lost the melody, consider this a sacred rest in the music of your life. Do not fight it. Do not try to force a new melody to come. Instead, practice becoming the hollow bamboo. How do you do this? You can practice by simply being in nature, like Ren. Go for a walk without a destination. Sit under a tree. Listen to the sounds around you without naming them. Feel the air on your skin. Let the natural world remind you of the beauty of simply being. You can practice by allowing yourself moments of unstructured time. Let go of the schedule, the to-do list, for just an hour. Allow yourself to be bored. Boredom is the mind's resistance to the fertile void. If you can stay with the discomfort of boredom without immediately reaching for a distraction, you will often find that on the other side of it, a new and unexpected creative impulse begins to stir. Most importantly, you can practice through meditation. Sit in silence each day, even for just a few minutes. Your only task is to listen. Listen to the silence in the room. Listen to the silence between your thoughts. Do not expect anything to happen. Do not search for answers or insights. Simply rest in the open, spacious, silent awareness that is your true nature. You are creating a clearing in the dense forest of your mind. It is in this clearing that the shy, wild animal of a new idea or a new direction can finally feel safe enough to appear. The periods of feeling lost are not problems to be solved. They are invitations to a deeper way of being. They are life's way of forcing us to stop, to become hollow, to listen. It is in this deep, quiet listening that we find our true voice. It is in the fertile silence that the next, beautiful, and authentic note of our life song is composed. So, as you drift into sleep, let go of the pressure to be productive, to be moving forward, to have a clear melody. Allow yourself to enter the great, restorative silence of the night. This is your bamboo grove. This is your time of fertile emptiness. You are not stuck. You are gathering strength. You are becoming hollow so that a new and more beautiful music can be born through you. Trust the silence. It is not an absence. It is the presence of everything, waiting to be born. Rest in its deep, creative, and peaceful embrace. Let us stay with Ren in the bamboo grove a little longer, for his journey reveals even deeper layers of this wisdom. After his breakthrough, after he played that one perfect note born of silence, he did not suddenly become a flawless master. The path of embracing emptiness is not a single event, but a continuous practice. There were days when Ren would sit with his flute and the old ambition would return. He would hear a complex melody in his head, and his fingers would itch to reproduce it. He would try to force the music, to impose his will on the bamboo. And on those days, the sound that emerged was thin, lifeless, and strained. It was just a collection of notes again, empty of the wind's soul. He would become frustrated, feeling he had lost the secret. In these moments of struggle, he would return to Master Fuzen. Fuzen would not offer him a new technique or a complex philosophical explanation. He would simply say, "The bamboo is not hollow today. Go and listen again." This is a crucial lesson. The state of inner emptiness, of receptive stillness, is not a permanent achievement. It is a state we must return to again and again. Our minds are conditioned to be full. They are like rooms that naturally accumulate clutter. The practice of listening to the silence is the practice of gently and without judgment clearing out that clutter each day. It is not a failure when the mind becomes full again, it is simply the nature of the mind. The practice is in the returning, the remembering, the gentle act of re-embodying the hollow bamboo. When you feel lost and stuck, it is as if your inner room has become cluttered with the furniture of old plans, the dust of past regrets, and the noise of future anxieties. You cannot hear the music because the acoustics of the room are terrible. The practice of not doing is the practice of opening the windows, of letting the fresh air of the present moment blow through, of allowing the clutter to be seen and gently removed, not with force, but with the light of awareness. Consider the life of a farmer. The farmer understands the music of silence. There is a season for ploughing and planting, a time of intense activity. But there is also a season where the field must lie fallow. This is a period of not doing. The farmer is not planting seeds or pulling weeds, he is letting the land rest. To an outside observer, it might look like nothing is happening. The field is empty. But the farmer knows this fallow period is essential. It is the time when the soil replenishes its nutrients, when the deep, invisible work of regeneration takes place. If the farmer, in his anxiety for a harvest, were to plant crop after crop without ever letting the field lie fallow, the soil would become depleted and barren. The harvests would grow weaker and weaker until nothing would grow at all. The periods of feeling lost in your life are your fallow seasons. Your inner soil is tired. It has been producing, striving, growing. Now it needs to rest. It needs to be replenished. To force yourself to be productive during this time is to deplete your own soul. The anxiety you feel is the voice of the impatient farmer who is afraid of an empty field. The wisdom of Zen is the wisdom of the patient farmer, who knows that the emptiness is not a sign of failure, but a promise of future abundance. He trusts the silent, invisible process of regeneration. This trust is perhaps the most challenging part of the practice. We want to see results. We want to feel like we are making progress. The practice of embracing the silence asks us to let go of our need for measurable outcomes. It asks us to have faith in a process that is largely invisible and mysterious. Ren had to learn this trust. He had to learn that the days when he felt empty and uninspired were just as important as the days when the music flowed effortlessly. The empty days were the days his inner field was lying fallow. They were the days he was gathering the silence that would eventually become music. He learned to stop judging his practice as good or bad. There was only the practice itself, the returning to the breath, the returning to the listening, the returning to the hollow bamboo. This perspective can bring a profound sense of relief to the experience of being lost. It reframes it from a personal failure to a natural and necessary cycle. You are not broken. You are simply in a fallow season. The pressure to fix yourself can dissolve, replaced by a gentle permission to simply be. You can allow yourself to rest, to be unproductive, to not have the answers. You can trust that your inner soil is being nourished, even if you can't see the growth. This is also a time of deep integration. All the experiences you have had, the lessons you have learned, the joys and the sorrows, they need time to settle. They are like the ingredients of a long simmering soup. If you are constantly stirring the pot, constantly adding new ingredients, the flavors can never truly meld and deepen. The fallow season is the time when you turn down the heat and let the soup of your life simmer. It is in this quiet, unhurried process that a new and richer flavor develops. When you emerge from this period of stillness, you will not be the same person you were when you entered it. You will have integrated your experiences on a deeper level. You will have a new depth, a new wisdom that could only be born in the quiet of the fallow field. So, as you lie here, sinking into the deep, dark, fertile soil of the night, give yourself this profound permission to be fallow. Let go of the need to be a vibrant, productive field. Let go of the need to be a musician playing a constant melody. Embrace the identity of the empty field, the hollow bamboo, the silent listener. Know that this silence is not a dead end, it is a womb. Something new is being gestated in the darkness. You do not need to know what it is. You do not need to rush it. Your only task is to provide a quiet, trusting, and receptive space for it to grow. The night itself is a fallow time for the entire world. The trees are not striving to grow. The animals are resting. The whole of nature is engaged in the deep, silent work of regeneration. You are invited to join in this great, cosmic rest. Let the music of silence be your lullaby. It is a song without notes, a rhythm without a beat. It is the sound of your own being resting in its own source. It is the sound of the universe breathing in the space between the stars. There is nothing you need to do. There is nowhere you need to go. Simply be here in this quiet, fertile, and profoundly peaceful emptiness. Trust the process. The sun will rise again, and when it does, you will find that the field is green once more. One step at a time. After resting in the fertile silence, after allowing ourselves to be the fallow field, a subtle shift begins to occur. The deep, quiet work of regeneration has taken place. A new energy, a new impulse begins to stir. But this stirring can bring with it a renewed sense of anxiety. The silence may have been peaceful, but now the prospect of movement, of re-engaging with the world, can feel overwhelming. We look at the vast, uncharted territory ahead of us, the long and unknown path out of the forest, and our heart sinks. The sheer scale of the journey seems impossible. How will I ever get from here to there? How can I rebuild my life? How can I find a new career, a new purpose, a new way of being? This is the overwhelm of the entire staircase. We stand at the bottom, looking up at 100 flights of stairs disappearing into the clouds, and we feel defeated before we have even begun. Our mind races ahead, trying to plan every step, anticipate every obstacle, and secure the final outcome. It is a recipe for paralysis. The mind, in its attempt to grasp the entire journey, makes the journey impossible. We become so intimidated by the imagined whole that we are unable to take the actual part, the single, simple, manageable step that is right in front of us. The wisdom of Zen offers a powerful and deeply soothing antidote to this overwhelm. It is the practice of bringing our focus back from the vast, imagined future to the small, tangible present. It is the art of walking in the dark with only a small lantern. The lantern does not illuminate the entire forest or the final destination. It sheds just enough light for the next step. And then, as you take that step, the circle of light moves with you, illuminating the step that comes after that. The journey is not made by seeing the destination. The journey is made by taking one mindful, well-lit step at a time. Let us imagine a traveler, a woman named Hannah, who finds herself in such a dark forest. She has been wandering for days, her initial confidence long since eroded, replaced by a growing sense of despair. The sun has set, deep, moonless dark has fallen. She cannot see the path. She cannot see the trees. She is surrounded by a vast, impenetrable blackness, filled with the strange and unsettling sounds of the night. Her mind is a storm of fearful projections. She imagines getting lost forever, succumbing to the cold, or encountering some unseen danger. She is overwhelmed by the totality of her predicament. She collapses at the base of a tree, ready to give up. But as she sits there, her hand touches something hard and smooth in the satchel at her side. It is a small, old-fashioned lantern and a flint and steel. She had forgotten all about it. With trembling hands, she manages to strike a spark and light the small candle inside. A tiny, flickering flame comes to life, pushing back the immense darkness. But it does not push it back very far. It creates a small, warm, golden circle of light, perhaps only 3 feet in diameter. Beyond this circle, the vast, intimidating darkness remains. At first, this feels like a disappointment. The light is so small and the darkness is so big. What good can this little lantern do against the whole forest? But then, as she sits within her small circle of light, a sense of calm begins to settle over her. Within this circle, she is safe. She can see the ground clearly. She can see the texture of the tree bark, the delicate veins on a fallen leaf, the small, determined beetle making its way across a patch of moss. In this small, illuminated space, the world is not overwhelming. It is simple, clear, and manageable. The terrifying sounds of the forest are still there, but they seem further away now, outside her circle of safety. She realizes that she does not need to see the whole forest. She does not need a map to the other side. She only needs to see the ground where she is about to place her foot. Holding the lantern steady, she gets to her feet. She lifts the lantern a little, and the circle of light moves with her, showing her a small patch of clear ground just in front of her. She takes one step, placing her foot firmly in the illuminated space. And then she takes another, and another. Her journey through the forest is transformed. She is no longer trying to conquer the entire wilderness. She is simply engaged in the practice of taking one well-lit step. Her mind, which had been lost in catastrophic futures, is now anchored in the simple, sensory reality of this one action. The feel of the earth beneath her foot, the smell of the damp night air, the gentle, steady glow of the lantern in her hand. The journey is no longer a terrifying concept. It is a lived, embodied experience, unfolding one moment, one step at a time. She does not know when she will reach the edge of the forest. She does not know what lies ahead. But it no longer matters. All that matters is this step, and this step, and this one. As you lie here, feeling the potential overwhelm of your own life's journey, you are invited to find your own lantern. Your lantern is your awareness, your ability to bring your full attention to this present moment. The vast, dark forest is the future. with all its uncertainties and challenges. To try to live in that future is to be lost in the dark. The practice of one step at a time is the practice of bringing your awareness back to the small, manageable, illuminated circle of the now. What is the one step you can take right now to bring you a little closer to peace? It is not a grand, life-altering action. It is the simplest step of all, to take one conscious breath. Let us take it together. Feel the air enter your body. Feel your lungs expand. And feel the complete release as you exhale. You have just taken one step. You have brought yourself out of the dark forest of anxious thought and into the illuminated circle of your own aliveness. That is all you need to do. And now, can you take another? Just one more conscious breath, in and out. The circle of light is steady. You are safe. You are here. This is the fundamental practice. When the mind gets lost in the overwhelm of the 10,000 things, the endless to-do lists, the complex problems, the uncertain future, you can always come back to the simplicity of one breath. It is the home base, the anchor, the steady flame of your lantern in the dark. This practice can be extended from the breath to all of life's activities. When you wake in the morning and the thought of the whole day ahead feels overwhelming, the practice is to bring your focus to the one step of getting out of bed. Feel your feet touch the floor. That is the only thing that is happening. You don't have to solve the whole day. You just have to feel your feet on the floor. Then, what is the next step? Perhaps it is to walk to the kitchen. So you practice the art of walking. Feel the movement of your legs, the sensation of the ground beneath you. You are not walking to the kitchen to make coffee to get ready for the big meeting that you are worried about. You are simply walking. Each footfall is a single, complete action. When you are making your tea or coffee, the practice is to simply be there, making tea or coffee. Feel the weight of the kettle. Hear the sound of the water pouring. Smell the aroma of the leaves or the beans. You are not doing this as a mindless prelude to the important parts of your day. This, right now, is the most important part of your day. This one, simple, mindful action is your entire journey. This is the essence of what is called walking meditation, or kin-hin in Zen monasteries. The monks walk, often in a very slow and deliberate way, not to get anywhere, but for the sake of walking itself. Each step is a complete and perfect expression of the present moment. They are not walking to get to the end of the hall. They are walking to be fully present in each step. The journey and the destination are one and the same. By applying this principle, you can dismantle the overwhelm of any large task. If you have a huge project to complete, do not think about the finished product. That is the other side of the forest. Instead, ask yourself, what is the smallest, most manageable first step I can take? Is it to open my notebook? Is it to write one sentence? Is it to send one email? Then, bring all of your attention, your entire being, to that one small action. Light it up with the lantern of your awareness. Do it completely. And when it is done, you can rest for a moment, and then ask, what is the next single step? This is a path of profound gentleness and self-compassion. The overwhelming voice in our head is often a harsh inner critic, a demanding taskmaster that tells us we are not doing enough, not moving fast enough. The practice of one step at a time is a quiet rebellion against this inner tyrant. It is a way of saying, I will not be bullied by the future. I will not be crushed by the weight of my own expectations. I will simply, gently, and mindfully take this one small step that is in front of me, and that is enough. This practice does not mean that we never plan or think about the future. A wise traveler in the forest might have a general sense of which direction is east toward the rising sun. We can have intentions, goals, and a sense of direction, but we hold them lightly. We set our general course, and then we bring our full attention back to the lantern and the single step. We know that the only way to ever travel east is by placing one foot in front of the other, right here, right now. If we spend all our time staring at the distant horizon, we will trip over the route that is right in front of us. So, as you lie here, preparing for sleep, let go of the long and winding road of tomorrow. It is too vast to hold in your mind tonight. It is a journey that lies in the darkness, beyond the gentle light of this present moment. Your only task now is to take the one step into rest. Feel the small, warm circle of light that is your body. Within this circle, all is well. Feel the simple sensation of the blankets on your skin. This is your illuminated ground. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breathing. This is the rhythm of your one single step. There is nothing else you need to do. You do not need to solve tomorrow's problems tonight. You do not need to map out the entire week ahead. You only need to take this one simple, easy step into the quiet peace of sleep. Let each breath be a step, carrying you further away from the noise of the day and deeper into the silent, healing forest of the night. The lantern of your awareness can now become very soft, its flame dwindling to a gentle, sleepy glow. You have illuminated this last step of the day. You have taken it mindfully, and now you can set the lantern down, blow out the candle, and trust the darkness. It is a friendly darkness, a restorative darkness. It will hold you until the morning light, and when that light comes, you will know exactly what you need to do. Find your lantern and take the next single step. Rest now, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. That is all that is ever asked of you. Let us stay with Hannah and her small lantern for a while longer, for there are deeper subtleties to this practice. As she walks, taking one careful step after another, she begins to notice something remarkable. Because her attention is no longer consumed by the terrifying, imagined future, it is free to notice the reality of her immediate surroundings with a new clarity. Within her small circle of light, the forest is not the monster she had imagined. She notices the intricate beauty of a spider's web, glistening with dew, a perfect mandala strung between two ferns. She sees a night-blooming flower, a pale, ethereal blossom that she would have trampled without a thought in her previous state of panic. She hears the hoot of an owl, and instead of a sound of menace, it becomes a note of wild, mysterious music. By focusing on the single step, she has not shrunk her world. She has deepened it. She has discovered that the small, illuminated circle of the present moment is not an empty, functional space. It is infinitely rich and detailed. It is full of a quiet, unassuming beauty that is always available, but is completely invisible to a mind lost in overwhelm. This is one of the great paradoxes of this practice. By letting go of our obsession with the grand destination, we discover that the journey itself is far more beautiful and interesting than we ever imagined. When you are not in a frantic rush to get to the end of your problem, you can start to notice the unexpected graces that are present even in the midst of difficulty. Perhaps you are feeling lost in your career. The forest is the daunting task of finding a new path. The one step might be to simply have a conversation with one person in a field that interests you. If you approach this conversation with the mindset of, "This must lead to a job," you will be filled with anxiety, and your attention will be narrow and grasping. But if your intention is simply to take the one step of having the conversation, of being present and curious, you are free to truly listen. You might discover something unexpected. You might learn about a different path you hadn't considered. You might simply make a human connection that enriches your day. The beauty is in the step itself, not in where it leads. This practice also cultivates a profound sense of trust in ourselves. Each time Hannah takes a step and finds solid ground, her confidence grows. She is not trusting a map or an external guide. She is trusting her own ability to navigate her immediate reality. She is learning, in her body, that she has the resources to handle this one present moment. And since life is only ever a series of present moments, she is learning that she has the resources to handle life. The feeling of being lost is often rooted in a deep-seated belief that we are inadequate, that we don't have what it takes to face the challenges ahead. The practice of one step at a time is a direct antidote to this belief. It does not try to argue with the feeling of inadequacy on a conceptual level. It proves it wrong through direct, embodied experience. With each small, successful step, you are sending a message to your nervous system. See, I can do this. I can handle this moment. I am capable. Over time, this builds a quiet, unshakable foundation of self-trust that is far more powerful than any fleeting state of external confidence. Furthermore, this way of walking changes our relationship with time. When we are overwhelmed, we experience time as an enemy. There is either not enough time to do everything or too much time stretching out before us in an empty, meaningless void. But when we are focused on the single step, we enter a different kind of time. It is sometimes called kairos time, as opposed to chronos time. Chronos is clock time, the linear, quantitative ticking of the seconds and minutes. Kairos is opportune time, the qualitative, rich experience of the present moment. When Hannah is walking with her lantern, she is not in chronos time. She is not counting the hours until dawn. She is in kairos time. Her world is the eternal now of this one step. This moment is not a means to an end. It is complete and whole in itself. By living in this way, we step off the frantic treadmill of the clock and enter a more spacious, timeless dimension of being. The pressure dissolves. We discover that we have all the time in the world, because the only time that is real is now. This is why the practice is so deeply restful. It unhooks us from the exhausting, energy-draining engine of striving and worrying. It allows our nervous system to come out of the fight or flight mode that is triggered by the imagined dangers of the future, and to settle into the rest and digest mode that is only possible when we feel safe in the present. So, as you lie here, let the image of Hannah and her lantern be your guide into this deep, restorative peace. Your bed is your circle of light. It is a space of absolute safety. The dark forest of tomorrow's worries and responsibilities lies outside this circle. You do not need to venture there tonight. You do not need to solve its mysteries or navigate its terrain. Your only journey is the small, simple, and beautiful journey into sleep. Let your one step be a gentle scan of your body. Notice one place that feels relaxed and at ease. Perhaps it is your hands, resting gently at your sides, or your feet, warm under the blankets. Bring the lantern of your awareness to this one small spot of comfort. Rest there. This is your solid ground. You don't need your whole body to be relaxed. Just this one spot is enough. This is your one step. And now, perhaps another step. Notice the gentle, effortless rhythm of your breathing. You are not doing it. It is happening. It is a quiet, reliable companion, a steady presence in your own circle of light. Rest your attention on this rhythm. Let it be the gentle rocking that soothes you. This is your next step. There is no need to rush. There is no destination to get to. The peace you are seeking is not at the end of some long and arduous journey. It is right here, in the simplicity of this one sensation, this one breath. This is the great, hidden secret. The edge of the forest is not miles away. It is right here. The moment you stop striving for it and arrive in the simple reality of the now, you are free. You have found your way out by finding your way in. Let the lantern's flame grow soft and dim. Let the circle of light dissolve into a gentle, all-encompassing warmth. You have walked your path for today. You have taken your final, mindful step into the sanctuary of the night. Trust that this is enough. You are enough. Rest now in the deep, quiet peace of this one, perfect and complete moment. The gift of darkness. As we walk with our small lantern, taking one step at a time, we learn to navigate the darkness. We find a way to function, to move forward, to endure. But there is a deeper wisdom available to us, a final turning of the perspective that can transform our entire relationship with the experience of being lost. So far, we have treated the darkness as something to be managed, an obstacle to be overcome. The lantern is our tool, the single step our strategy. But what if the darkness itself is not the problem? What if the darkness is not an absence of light, but a presence of something else? What if the experience of being utterly lost is not a curse, but a profound and necessary gift? In our modern world, we are addicted to light. Our cities banish the night. Our screens glow day and night. We equate light with knowledge, goodness, and safety. We equate darkness with ignorance, fear, and danger. This is a deep-seated and powerful metaphor in our culture. When we feel lost, we say we are in a dark place, and our immediate impulse is to find a way out, to get back to the light. We see the darkness as a privation, a state of lack. But in many ancient wisdom traditions, and in the deep heart of Zen, darkness holds a different meaning. It is not an empty void, but a fertile womb. It is the primordial state from which all creation emerges. It is the deep, silent ground of being. It is the mystery, the unknown, the sacred space where transformation occurs. The journey into the darkness is not a detour from the spiritual path. It is the path itself. It is the necessary descent that must precede any true ascent. Let us return to the traveler, Hannah, in the forest. She has been walking for some time with her lantern, her fear managed, her focus on the next step. But then, a gust of wind blows through the trees, and her small flame flickers and dies. She is plunged back into total, absolute darkness. Her first reaction is a surge of pure panic. Her tool is gone, her strategy is useless. The familiar terror returns, magnified. She is blind, helpless, and utterly lost. She stands frozen for a long time, her heart pounding. Her mind screams at her to do something, anything, but there is nothing to do. She cannot take a single step without risking a fall, or worse. She is forced into a state of absolute stillness and surrender. She has no choice but to simply be there, in the darkness, without any of her familiar tools for control or navigation. And then, slowly, something begins to happen. As her panic subsides and her body remains still, her senses begin to change. Her eyes, which had been straining to find a familiar light, begin to relax. And as they relax, they begin to adapt. The darkness is not as absolute as she had first thought. After 10, 20, 30 minutes, a faint, silvery light begins to filter through the canopy of the trees. It is the faint, gentle light of the stars, a light that was completely invisible when her small, bright lantern was lit. Her world begins to re-emerge, but it is a completely different world. It is a world of soft shapes, of silhouettes, of subtle gradations of black and grey. She can begin to make out the massive forms of the ancient trees, their branches reaching up like arms in prayer. She sees the faint glimmer of a distant stream. The forest is no longer a terrifying, formless void. It is a place of deep, quiet, and mysterious beauty. And then she looks up. Through a clearing in the trees, she sees the night sky, and she gasps. Without the competing glare of her small, man-made lantern, the full, breathtaking majesty of the cosmos is revealed. She sees not just a few stars, but millions upon millions of them, a river of diamond dust flowing across the vast velvet blackness. She sees the faint, cloudy glow of distant nebulae, the birthplaces of new stars. She is overwhelmed by a sense of awe, of wonder, of her own smallness in the face of this infinite, silent, and impossibly beautiful mystery. In that moment she understands. Her small lantern, which she had thought of as her salvation, was also a blinder. Its small, close-up light, while useful for the immediate path, had prevented her from seeing the larger, more magnificent reality that surrounded her all along. The darkness was not her enemy. The darkness was the necessary condition for seeing the stars. The loss of her small, familiar light was the greatest gift she could have received, for it allowed her to see a much greater light, a light she never would have known existed. This is the gift of darkness. When we feel lost, when our familiar lanterns of identity, belief, and purpose are extinguished, we are plunged into a terrifying state of not knowing. Our ego, the small lantern of our personal story, panics. It has lost its sense of control, its familiar illumination. But if we can stay with this darkness, if we can endure the initial terror and allow our inner eyes to adapt, we begin to see a different reality. We begin to see the stars. The stars are the vast, impersonal, and eternal truths that are always present, but are invisible in the bright daylight of our everyday, ego-driven lives. When the light of our personal ambition goes out, we can begin to sense a deeper purpose, a connection to something larger than our small self. When the light of our intellectual certainty is extinguished, we can begin to experience the awe and wonder of a universe that is far more mysterious and intelligent than our minds can ever comprehend. When the light of our familiar identity flickers and dies, we can begin to sense our true nature, which is not this small, separate self, but the vast, silent, star-filled awareness in which the entire cosmos appears. The journey into darkness is a journey into humility. The ego believes it is the center of the universe, the lantern-bearer who illuminates the world. The darkness teaches us that we are not the center. We are a tiny, miraculous part of a vast, interconnected whole. This can feel terrifying at first, like a loss of significance, but it is ultimately a profound liberation. To let go of the burden of being the all-important lantern-bearer is to become free to simply be a witness to the cosmic mystery. It is the shift from doing to being, from controlling to beholding. This is the essence of many of the great spiritual traditions. The dark night of the soul, described by the mystics, the great doubt in Zen, the descent into the underworld in mythology. These are all metaphors for this necessary and transformative journey. It is the process of letting go of our small, known world in order to enter a larger, more sacred reality. So, if you feel you are in a period of darkness in your life, if you feel your lantern has gone out, consider the possibility that this is not a catastrophe. It is an invitation. It is an opportunity to see the stars for the first time. How do we practice this? We practice by surrendering. We stop fighting the darkness. We stop frantically trying to relight our old lantern or to find a new one. We allow ourselves to be still, to be blind, to be helpless. We let go of the need for answers. We let go of the need for a path. We simply sit in the darkness of not knowing, and we wait. We practice by opening our senses in a new way. We learn to see without our eyes, to navigate without a map. We learn to feel the subtle shifts in the atmosphere, to listen to the whispers of our intuition, to trust the deep, non-verbal intelligence of our body. This is a different kind of seeing, a seeing that is born of the darkness itself. And we practice by looking up. We turn our attention away from our small, personal problems and toward the vast, impersonal mystery. We can do this literally by going outside on a clear night and looking at the stars. Or we can do it metaphorically by reading poetry, listening to music, or contemplating the great questions of existence. We allow ourselves to be filled with a sense of awe. Awe is the emotion that arises when our small ego is humbled in the presence of something vast and incomprehensible. It is the natural antidote to the anxiety of being lost. When you are in a state of awe, you cannot be in a state of worry. As you lie here now, the darkness of your room is not an absence of light. It is a sanctuary. It is a gentle, healing presence. It is the darkness of the womb, the darkness of the deep earth, the darkness of the night sky. It is a place of rest, of regeneration, of mystery. Allow the small lantern of your daytime mind to be extinguished. Let go of the thoughts, the plans, the worries. Let them flicker and die. Surrender to the darkness. Trust it. It is not empty. It is full of a quiet, shimmering intelligence. Allow your inner eyes to adapt. As the glare of your thoughts subsides, you may begin to sense a deeper reality. You may sense the silent, peaceful presence of your own awareness, the vast inner sky that holds all the stars of your experience. You may feel your connection to the great, silent mystery of life itself. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to name it. You only need to rest in it. The feeling of being lost is the beginning of true finding. The loss of your small light is the necessary prelude to seeing the great light. The darkness is not a punishment. It is a grace. It is the gift that allows you to finally see the breathtaking, star-filled beauty of your own true nature. Rest in this silent, majestic, and holy darkness. You are not lost in it. You are held by it. You are home. Let us remain with Hannah in the starlit forest, for her discovery is the turning point of the entire journey. The awe she feels is not a fleeting emotion. It is a fundamental reordering of her perception. Before, her world was defined by her own small self and its immediate problems. Her reality was the circle of light from her lantern, and everything outside it was a threat. Now, her world has expanded to the edges of the cosmos. Her small self has not been destroyed, but it has been placed in its proper context. She is no longer the lonely protagonist in a story of survival. She is a participant in a vast, cosmic dance. This shift from a self-centered to a universe-centered perspective is the ultimate gift of the darkness. The ego, our small lantern, operates on the principle of control. It wants to know, to plan, to secure, to manage. The darkness teaches us the wisdom of surrender. It reveals that our frantic efforts at control are like a tiny candle trying to outshine the Milky Way. It is not only impossible, it is a tragic waste of energy that could be spent in simple, joyful beholding. This surrender is not a passive resignation. It is an active, courageous choice to trust in a wisdom that is larger than our own. It is the realization that the universe is not a chaotic, hostile place that we must fight against. It is an intelligent, self-organizing, fundamentally benevolent process, and we are an expression of that process. The same intelligence that choreographs the dance of galaxies and the unfurling of a fern is also at work in our own lives. The feeling of being lost is the moment when our personal will comes into conflict with this larger, cosmic will. The darkness is the invitation to stop fighting, to align ourselves with this greater flow, and to trust that it is carrying us exactly where we need to go, even if the destination is unknown to our small, planning mind. Think of a seed buried deep in the dark earth. The seed does not have a map of the flower it will become. It does not have a 5-year plan for reaching the sunlight. It is in a state of complete, dark, not knowing. But it is not anxious. It simply surrenders to the darkness. It trusts the innate, intelligent life force within it. It allows the darkness to do its work, to break down its hard outer shell, to nourish it, to call it forth. The journey from seed to flower is not an act of will on the part of the seed. It is an act of surrender to the wisdom of the dark. When you feel lost, you are a seed in the dark earth. Your hard outer shell, your old identity, your old beliefs, is being broken down. It can feel painful and terrifying, like you are dying. And in a way, you are. A part of you is dying, but it is dying to make way for something new, something more beautiful to be born. The darkness is the womb of your own becoming. To fight it, to try to cling to your old shell, is to resist your own growth. The gift of the darkness is the permission to let go, to fall apart, to trust that in the fertile soil of the unknown, you are being remade. This process is not always silent and peaceful. The darkness can be a place of powerful dreams, of confronting old shadows, of emotional release. It is the space where the unconscious mind can finally speak. The fears, the griefs, the unhealed wounds that we have kept hidden in the bright daylight of our conscious control can now come to the surface. This is a crucial part of the journey. The darkness is a place of healing precisely because it allows what is hidden to be seen and integrated. Hannah, standing in the starlit forest, might suddenly be filled with a profound grief for all the times she has lived in her small, fearful circle, blind to the beauty around her. She might feel a deep sorrow for the lost parts of herself. This is not a negative experience. It is a catharsis, a purification. The darkness is a safe container for these powerful emotions. It allows them to be felt completely, without judgment, and in the feeling, they are released. The darkness is a compassionate friend that is not afraid of our tears. It knows that tears are like rain, watering the seed of our own transformation. As you lie in the darkness of your room, you are in this same sacred, healing space. If a difficult emotion arises, a wave of sadness, a pang of fear, you do not have to turn on the light of distraction. You can allow it to be there. You can welcome it as a messenger from the deep. The darkness gives you the courage to be with what is difficult, because it reminds you that you are larger than your emotions. You are the vast, silent sky, and the emotion is just a passing weather pattern. You can let the rain fall. You can let the wind blow. The sky is not harmed. This is the ultimate safety. It is not the safety of a locked door or a predictable life. It is the safety of knowing that your true nature is indestructible. Your true nature is the silent, aware presence that is witnessing this entire human experience. This awareness was never born, and it will never die. It is the timeless, star-filled darkness of consciousness itself. To realize this, even for a moment, is to be freed from the fundamental fear of annihilation that drives so much of our anxious striving. The gift of darkness is the gift of returning to this source. It is the journey home. When we are living in the light of the ego, we feel like we are wanderers, exiles, trying to find our way back to a home we have forgotten. The darkness reminds us that we have never left. We are already home. Our true home is not a place or a state to be achieved in the future. It is the very ground of our being, this silent, spacious awareness which is present right here, right now. So let the darkness of the night be your teacher. Let it teach you the wisdom of surrender, the beauty of awe, the courage of humility, and the peace of returning to your source. Do not be in a hurry for the morning light. The night has its own sacred work to do. It is mending your soul. It is replenishing your spirit. It is reminding you of who you truly are, beyond the small story of your daytime self. Feel the darkness as a physical presence, a soft, heavy blanket of peace. Let it absorb all the tension, all the worry, all the striving of the day. You do not need to hold on to anything. The darkness can hold it all. You can dissolve into it, like a drop of water returning to the ocean. You are not disappearing. You are expanding. You are letting go of the small, tight boundary of your ego and merging with the infinite, peaceful mystery of the night. This is the ultimate rest. This is the ultimate healing. This is the profound and beautiful gift of the darkness. Coming home to yourself. Our journey is drawing to a close. We began with the anxiety of the empty map, the feeling of being utterly lost at a crossroads. We have journeyed through the wisdom of the empty cup, learning to embrace the freedom of not knowing. We have flowed with the river, trusting the natural course of our lives. We have found shelter in the now, anchoring ourselves in the simple reality of the present moment. We have discovered the beauty of the crack, honoring the imperfect, golden-seamed story of our lives. We have learned to listen to the heart's compass, our own, true and unwavering guide. We have rested in the music of silence, understanding the fertile power of the fallow seasons. We have walked through the dark forest with a small lantern, taking one mindful step at a time. And finally, we have let the lantern go out, discovering in the vast, star-filled darkness a gift of profound awe and surrender. And so, where have we arrived? After all this wandering, after all these stages of letting go and discovery, where is the final destination? The beautiful, paradoxical, and deeply comforting truth is that we have arrived exactly where we started. We have come home. But it is not a home we have found on an external map. It is the home we have discovered within ourselves. The entire journey of being lost was, in fact, the path of coming home to our own true nature. In the Zen tradition, this journey is beautifully depicted in a series of 10 images known as the 10 bulls, or the 10 ox-herding pictures. These simple ink drawings, accompanied by short poems, illustrate the stages of the path to enlightenment. They tell the story of a young herder who is searching for his lost ox. The ox represents our true self, our Buddha nature, the peaceful, wise, and compassionate essence of our being that has been lost or forgotten in the busyness and confusion of our everyday lives. In the first picture, the herder is alone in the wilderness, frantically searching. The grasses are long and tangled. He is lost, anxious, and discouraged. This is the state of the empty map. He is searching for something outside of himself, believing his true nature is a separate thing that he must find and capture. In the second picture, he discovers the tracks of the ox. He has found a clue, a teaching, a path. This is the stage of finding a practice, perhaps meditation, or the wisdom of a story. He has a direction now, a sense of hope. He is no longer just wandering aimlessly. In the third picture, he sees the ox for the first time. It is just a glimpse of its hindquarters disappearing into the trees. He has had his first direct experience of his true nature, a fleeting moment of peace or clarity, a kensho. It is exhilarating, but the ox is still wild and untamed. The next few pictures depict the struggle to catch and tame the ox. He gets a rope on it, but it is a powerful, willful creature. It pulls him this way and that. This is the stage of dedicated practice, of discipline. It is the struggle with our own ingrained habits of mind, our anger, our fear, our greed. It is hard work. The herder is often exhausted and covered in mud. This is the diligent, one step at a time part of the journey. Finally, in the sixth picture, he is riding the ox home. The struggle is over. The ox is now tame and follows his lead effortlessly. He plays a gentle tune on his flute as they travel. His practice has become natural, joyful. There is a sense of harmony and peace between his everyday self, the herder, and his true nature, the ox. In the seventh picture, he arrives home. He gets off the ox and puts it in the stable. The ox is transcended. The herder is alone, sitting peacefully outside his hut as the moon rises. He realizes that the ox was just a means to get him home. The practices, the teachings, the struggles, they were all tools. Now that he has arrived, he can let them go. And then comes the most profound turn in the story. In the eighth picture, both the ox and the herder have disappeared. There is only an empty circle, a enso. This represents the realization of emptiness, sunyata. The distinction between the seeker and the sought, between the self and the true nature, has dissolved. There is no separate me who was seeking and no separate ox to be found. There is only this vast, open, boundless awareness. This is the experience of the starlit sky, the gift of the darkness. But the journey does not end in this state of absolute emptiness. This is a crucial point in Zen. In the ninth picture, the world reappears. But it is a different world. It is a world of luminous, pristine beauty. A river flows, flowers bloom, a tree blossoms. This is the return to the world of form, but seeing it with new eyes. It is seeing the sacred in the ordinary, the absolute in the relative. It is the world as it is, in all its isness, seen without the filter of the ego. And in the 10th and final picture, the herder reappears. But he is a different man. He is old, fat and jolly, with a big belly and a joyful smile. He is shown in the marketplace, mingling with ordinary people, children and merchants. The caption says, "He enters the marketplace with bliss-bestowing hands." He has returned to the everyday world, not as a remote ascetic, but as a compassionate, fully engaged human being. His enlightenment is not for his own sake. Its final expression is in his simple, loving, and joyful presence in the world, helping others. He has found his true home, and he now realizes that it is everywhere. The marketplace, the monastery, the forest, it is all his home. This beautiful, simple story is the map of the journey you have been on tonight. The feeling of being lost is the first step, the necessary catalyst that sends you on the search. All the stages, the struggle, the glimpses of peace, the discipline, the surrender, are part of the path of taming the wild ox of your own mind. The great realization, the moment the lantern goes out and you see the stars, is the 8th picture, the empty circle. It is the profound relief of realizing that the peace you were searching for was not something you needed to find. It is what you are. You were never separate from the ox. You are the ox. Your true nature is not a distant goal. It is the very ground of your being, the silent, aware presence that is reading these words right now. The peace you seek is not at the end of the path. The peace you seek is the path. Each mindful step, each conscious breath is the destination. You were never lost from your true home. You were only dreaming that you were a separate seeker, wandering in a foreign land. The journey is the process of waking up from that dream. And so, as you lie here now, on the threshold of sleep, you can let the search be over. You can let the herder rest. You do not need to find anything. You do not need to achieve anything. You do not need to fix or improve yourself. You are already home. This body, lying in this bed, in this room, is the sacred temple. This breath, flowing in and out, is the holy mantra. This moment, exactly as it is enlightenment. Let this feeling of homecoming wash over you. It is a feeling of profound and unconditional self-acceptance. It is the end of the inner war. It is the herder and the ox finally at peace, lying down together in the same field. All the parts of you that you have judged, rejected, or tried to change, your anxiety, your imperfections, your cracks. They are all welcome here. They are all part of the beautiful, intricate, and perfect expression of your unique life. They are all held in the vast, compassionate embrace of your own true nature. Imagine the jolly, pot-bellied sage from the final picture. He is the embodiment of this awakened heart. He is not stern or serious. He is full of laughter and simple joy. He finds the sacred not in solemn temples, but in the laughter of a child, the taste of a ripe piece of fruit, the warmth of the sun on his face. This is the invitation for you now, to let go of the seriousness of the spiritual search and to simply rest in the joyful, ordinary, and miraculous reality of being alive. The journey of being lost is not about finding a new and better place. It is about learning to see the place where you already are with new eyes. It is about realizing that the treasure you have been seeking all over the world has been buried in your own backyard all along. So let your body sink deeply into the support of the earth. Let your mind dissolve into the quiet peace of the night. You are not a lost traveler far from home. You are a beloved child of the universe, resting safely in your own bed. You have done enough. You have journeyed far, and now you have arrived. You are home. There is nothing more to do. There is nowhere else to go. Simply rest. Rest in the deep, quiet, and unshakable peace of your own being. Welcome home. Let us linger in this feeling of homecoming, for it is the most precious and healing realization of all. The story of the 10 bulls does not end with a grand, transcendent escape from the world. It ends with a return. This is perhaps the most unique and compassionate aspect of the Zen path. The goal is not to float away into some disembodied, blissful state, but to bring the fruits of our inner journey back into the messy, beautiful, and very human world of the marketplace. The final image of the jolly sage is profoundly important. He is not depicted as thin and ethereal, but as robust, earthy, and fully embodied. His joy is not a fragile, otherworldly bliss, but a deep, grounded contentment that can coexist with the chaos and suffering of the world. He enters the marketplace with bliss-bestowing hands, which means his very presence has become a source of healing and peace for others. But he does not do this by preaching or lecturing. He does it through his simple, authentic, and loving way of being. He is not trying to save the world. He is simply being himself, and that, in itself, is a gift to the world. This is the final destination of the path that begins with feeling lost. It is the realization that your own well-being and the well-being of the world are not separate. By coming home to yourself, by finding peace in your own heart, you naturally become a source of peace for those around you. You do not need to figure out how to help the world. You only need to do your own inner work of coming home, and the helping will happen naturally, effortlessly, as a fragrance emanates from a flower. So what does this homecoming feel like, in a practical, embodied way, as you lie here tonight? It feels like a profound and final laying down of a heavy burden. The burden is the belief that you are somehow incomplete, that there is something wrong with you that needs to be fixed. This belief is the engine of all our frantic searching, our striving, our anxiety. It is the voice of the herder in the first picture, convinced that his happiness is out there, somewhere in the tangled wilderness. To come home is to finally see through this illusion. It is to realize in your very bones that you are already whole. You were whole at the beginning of this journey, and you are whole now. The journey did not add anything to you. It simply helped you to remove the layers of dust and confusion that were obscuring the wholeness that was already there. It is like a golden statue that has been covered in mud for centuries. The work is not to create the gold, but simply to wash away the mud. The feeling of being lost is the mud. Your true nature is the indestructible gold. This realization brings with it a deep sense of relaxation that permeates every level of your being. Your body can relax because it no longer has to carry the tension of striving and self-judgment. It is finally allowed to be exactly as it is, with its aches, its pleasures, its unique shape and history. It is a good and worthy body, a perfect vehicle for this human life. Your heart can relax because it no longer has to protect itself from the pain of feeling not good enough. It can open. It can be vulnerable. It can feel the full spectrum of human emotion: joy, sorrow, love, anger, without fear, knowing that it is vast enough to hold it all. It can let go of old resentments and grievances, not as a moral duty, but because it is simply too tiring to carry them any longer. Your mind can relax. This is perhaps the greatest miracle of all. The mind, the wild ox, can finally cease its restless wandering. It can stop its endless churning of plans, worries, and regrets. It does not mean that thoughts will cease entirely. The mind will still produce thoughts, just as the stomach produces digestive juices, but you are no longer identified with them. You are no longer caught and carried away by every thought that arises. You can watch them come and go, like clouds in the sky, without believing they are you. The mind becomes a useful tool that you can pick up when you need it and set down when you don't. And now, as you prepare for sleep, you can set it down. You can let the ox lie down in the field and chew its cud peacefully. This homecoming is also a radical embrace of the ordinary. In the beginning of the spiritual search, we are often drawn to the exotic, the dramatic, the special. We want visions, peak experiences, supernatural powers. But the final stage of the journey is a deep appreciation for the profound beauty of the mundane. The taste of water when you are thirsty, the feeling of clean sheets, the sound of a loved one's breathing in the quiet of the night. These are no longer small, insignificant things. They are the whole of the universe, expressing itself in this one, perfect, simple form. The jolly sage in the marketplace is not looking for miracles. He is living in a world that is entirely made of them. To feel lost is to be blind to the miracles that are right in front of you. You are so focused on the horizon, on some future state of foundness, that you miss the sacredness of your own footsteps, your own breath, your own life. Coming home is the act of opening your eyes to the wonder of what is already here. So, as you settle into your final moments of wakefulness, let this be your final meditation. Let go of any last, lingering idea that you need to be somewhere else or someone else. You have arrived. This is it. The purpose of your life is not some grand, distant achievement. The purpose of your life is to be fully present in it. The purpose of your life is this one gentle breath. Feel the simple, miraculous reality of your own existence. You are a conscious being, resting on a spinning planet in a vast and silent universe. You are a collection of stardust that has woken up and is able to contemplate itself. You are a temporary, beautiful, and infinitely precious expression of life's creative impulse. There is nothing to be fixed. There is only a miracle to be witnessed. And you are that miracle. Let this feeling of gentle, ordinary wonder be your lullaby. Let it soothe away the last remnants of the search. The herder has found his way home, not by conquering the wilderness, but by realizing the wilderness was his home all along. The ox is not in some distant pasture. It is the quiet, steady strength that is breathing you right now. You are not lost. You have never been lost. You have only been on the long, beautiful, and necessary journey of remembering who you truly are. And now, you remember. Rest in that remembering. Rest in the deep, quiet, and joyful peace of being home.